All right, everybody, welcome to another game with SirLucien on the SirLucien Gaming channel. We are here on the Twitch channel. Thanks for joining us. If you're joining us later on from YouTube, thanks for joining us at YouTube. Tonight we are going to be playing Seeking Revonar campaign, which is my mega West Marches campaign that I've started that I have definitely bit off way more than I can chew, I'm sure. But we're going to run a bunch of parties. We're going to run a bunch of fans through the game. We've got friends of mine who are playing on Monday night is my normal group of people that have been playing. They're the ones that had tested everything for me, and real life friends. Even in this game, I've got a real life friend with me. We'll do some player introductions here in just a moment, and we're even going to see more just fans and more friends jumping in and getting to play. So this is the second group that gets to adventure in what is basically my version of a West Marches or a hex crawl Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition game called Seeking Revonar, which is in Forgotten Realms, but it is across the many oceans over to the continent that they don't talk about too much. If you look up Revonar, you can actually find a tiny bit about it. It's up above Mazteca. I have definitely homebrewed this whole thing up, so there's a lot of new stuff here. So I hope you're going to enjoy it. I hope you join us. I know Thursday night is a busy night for all the different streams that are out there, but we're appreciate if you're here watching us. Or if you're just on YouTube and you check us out a little bit later, that is cool too. And if you want to play in this game, you can. All you have to do is have a microphone. You don't even have to have a camera. It is cool if you do, because we're going to be streaming the games, but you don't have to. But if you follow the rules after you contact me about jumping in this game, you too could probably form a party and come play a game, 2 games, 10, 20 games. Who knows how often you'll get to go. So hopefully that is super cool. We're going to jump into our session now. We're going to start with just introducing the people that are going to be playing. So I'm just going to go around, and I'm meeting some of them for the very first time tonight with you guys, the audience, and we're all kind of meeting each other for the first time, so this is pretty cool. And so let's start with over in the top left, which I believe is our group leader, our expedition leader for the night. I know him as Skull Dixon, but I'll let him introduce himself however he wants. If you have something you're doing, like you're streaming or you're a YouTuber, you can mention that kind of stuff. If you're on Twitter, you want to mention that stuff. If you're just here to play a game and you don't really do any of that stuff, don't worry about that. All you have to worry about then is just introducing your character. So, Skull, why don't you start us off? Tell us what you want about yourself, and then give us a small tidbit of the character you're playing tonight. Oh. Oh. Give me a second here. Yeah. All right. All right. So my audio's not picking up Zoom yet, but let's see here. Oh, go ahead and Skull, say your name one more time. I think I just fixed it.
There it is. Sir Klaus Kovacs.
All right, I'm getting levels now. I should have checked levels when we were sitting there, didn't. So anytime you do, this is a cool tip for all you streamers out there. Anytime you make a brand new Streamlabs OBS session, be sure to check your desktop audio where it's pointing to, because it was pointing to my microphone when it should have been pointing to my speakers so it would record. So you did such a good job, and that sounded so awesome. We're actually going to listen to it one more time, and that way the audience can hear you one more time. So this, again, they could hear me. My microphone was kicking off, but I didn't see yours, and I didn't want to interrupt you because you had a really good flow there. But if you could do that one more time for us, the audience would love to hear it. We got a bunch of people jumping in right now. This is Skull. He's going to introduce himself and a little bit about a tidbit of his character again, so you guys can hear it this time.
So I'm Skull Dixon, freelance storyboard artist and animator. I will be playing Sir Klaus Kovacs, Knight of the Order of the Bleeding Shield, first level fighter, and I will be the leader of this party tonight.
Awesome. Yes, he is our expedition leader. That's something for those of you that are keeping an eye on this game. What happens is the players are in a big pool. They're in a tavern, but they organize themselves, and it requires one of them to decide to become an expedition leader, gather several adventurers with them, and to go out on an expedition. That's what Skull did, and it was super cool. I'm sure he'll be organizing other ones as we go throughout these weeks. Super cool. And I see Karmic Coffee, who I already know, did a nice Twitch Prime subscription, though. That's always good. It helps out the channel, so thanks for that. And we're going to move right over to him, so we're going to keep going across the top on my screen. It's on my right on my screen, but the way the camera flips things, you know, who knows what it is the way you're seeing it. But we have Ardrith, and you can go ahead and introduce yourself if you're doing any online stuff. If not, just tell us a little bit about the character you're playing tonight.
I do not do any online stuff, just like to watch. So, formerly known as Ardrith from the Storm King's Thunder campaign. I think we did that for 12, 18 months almost, which was a good one. So
yeah, it'll come back.
Tonight,
don't worry.
I'm looking forward to that one. It's a great group. Tonight, I'm playing Faik Alatar. I am a Genasi, and I come from a tribe of Genasi. We live in a desert. We're not quite sure how back the genie lineage goes, but we've been serving as caravan guards throughout the desert that we live in. Faik is an earth Genasi, so he's got a brownish hue, and there's cracks and lines in his skin of light that show through, which reflect it in that eerie charisma of 9 that he sports out in the world. It's not that he's necessarily ugly, it's just off-putting from the light that shines through and makes people unsettled when they look at him. Faik is a barbarian, has no armor, sports a shield, has 3 javelins across his back, and a gleaming scimitar. And while he is a barbarian, and once he's in a rage state can't quite be controlled, there is a moment of calm that always settles in before he determines he commits to the fight that he's got coming.
Awesomely done. Yeah, we actually played in Storm King's Thunder, which was the first D&D 5e campaign I ran for a year and a half for sure. We're just on a slight break from that one, but there's a really good storyline going. We had lots of characters in it. In fact, we got up to like 8 different people playing in that at one point, which was super fun. And we'll come back to it. We'll definitely finish it, but I've been running so many other things. It's been crazy. So awesome to have you in the game. Glad that you got a group. Glad that you accepted Skull Dixon's adventure summons to go out and try your hand with this new character. And a Genasi is super cool. For those of you that are watching, one of the things that I think everybody did, but you guys can correct me, did everybody go random?
I did go random.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of head nods. Yeah, everybody went random.
I was, but fun. Then I went straight.
Oh, okay.
I actually liked the random one. It was interesting to make it force you to develop a character around it. So
yeah,
it was good.
Yeah. So the players tonight, they have 2 options when they're creating their characters, and you could too if you play in this campaign. Option number 1 is full random. So we're talking random stats, random class, random race, and then it's PHB +1 after that. Or you can go standard array, just like you're playing a character right from the player's handbook, and just use standard array and then choose your +1 for your PHB. So you can use anything from the player's handbook, or something like a Xanathar's or a Mordekainen's or one of those other released printed events. Although I snuck in, some of you might have seen this, although it probably was after your character, I had to sneak in 2 new races because I needed to fill out 2 numbers I'd missed. I think it was like 89 and 90 or something like that on that big list of 1 to 100. So I put in the Luxodon from the new Unearthed Arcana that's out right now, and I put in another one. So if you guys die, you'll be able to re-roll, and maybe you'll get that one when you do the random. So, all right, let's get back to our introduction. So now in the bottom left, I know him, and again, I'm meeting some of these fine players for the first time tonight. Azer, I believe. So if you're doing stuff online like YouTube's and Twitch stuff, awesome. You can introduce that kind of thing. If not, just go ahead and tell us a little bit about the character you'll be playing tonight, or do both.
I'm just a regular pleb as well, so I have nothing to promote. Yeah, I'll be playing as Iravel Othronus, a Shatterkai elf wizard. He's got light gray hair, copper eyes, and unsettlingly pale skin, like more than somebody who's just hasn't been in the sun in a while. He's really pale. He's a follower of the Raven Queen and has come to this continent seeking lost lore that might help him uncover what happened with her.
You will find some things because I love the Raven Queen. I love the Shatterkai that have been added, and I can't wait to play one myself. I want to play a Shadow Sorcerer Shadowkai, and I can't wait to try to do it. So if you stay alive long enough, you may find some interesting things out here if you explore far enough and deep enough into Revonar. So cool. It's great to see you and great to have you in the game. And rounding out the rest of our party group, we have Nick. Nick, again, if you have doing any YouTube or Twitch, you can introduce that kind of stuff, or even your Twitter, or if you're just a player, which is super cool. Also, you can tell us a little bit about your character, or you can do both at the same time.
Hey everyone, my name is Nick Lapointe. I am playing Till Blacktree tonight. He's a dwarf druid. He's from a tribe in the southeastern Sword Coast. And in their tribe, when you celebrate your 200th birthday, you have to leave. Kind of not like a kicked out, but kind of their tradition, and go out for 50 to 100 years, and towards the end of your life, come back and bring back the new information. So Till heard of this group going west and decided to join. So that's why he's along.
Is that like the Dwarven Runespiger or something like that? Is that what they call when the Amish take a break from being Amish for a bit?
Very similar to that, actually.
Loosely based. Awesome. All right, so those are your players. And again, I'm SirLucien, the GM for tonight. DM, GM. I like to use Game Master because Dungeon Master always sounds weird to me, but I'm the DM of this game and this big campaign. So let's tell you a little bit about this campaign. So there are some things that are a tiny bit different than your normal session, though it should play out mostly like a normal campaign. As you can see, we're here on roll 20. In just a moment, I'll switch over our screens and you'll be able to see the actual battle maps and the characters' tokens. I have them up near their cameras for now so you can see them and try to start matching voices to faces and voices to tokens, although that'll take some time. But we start our adventure in Port Bastion, and there's been several days that most of these heroes, these adventurers, have arrived. They've spent a few days here. We're just going to kind of hand wave most of that for this very first adventure, and then we're going to kind of jump right in. Now, the town of Port Bastion is mostly a safe place for the adventurers to come back and rest, re-equip, plan their next expedition, and then head out. So this game is very much about trying to go out, do some really cool stuff, and come back to town. But I want to do a little flashback, because not every one of these players came over on the very same ship. The ship that comes over from the Sword Coast, it takes about 3 months for it to sail across that ocean and get to this continent, and it's a horrible, rocking mess of a trip. It's you're crammed in with cargo more than you are with people. It's not something you enjoy. It's not something you're looking forward to ever doing again. And you're hoping to seek you either fame, fortune, power, or who knows what other motives that you might have that you've come to Revonar. Usually it's because you're at the end of your rope anywhere else. So each one of them have made their way over the last few days over the different ships that travel to Revonar. Now, there are 2 trading companies currently that have the monopoly on bringing things from the Sword Coast to Revonar and bringing all the stuff that you guys either sell to them or the townsfolk make or the farmers make or the miners and all these different people export out from Revonar back to the Sword Coast. There's 2 merchant houses, and these 2 merchant houses are the Oliphant Trading Company and the Cameroon Imports. So you would have come over on one of their ships to make it here. And we're going to flashback. Each one of you Well, remember that the moment you walked off the ship, the moment you finally set foot back on the non-rocking ground, you were corralled into what looks almost like a marching quad, or like a kind of like an open area of Port Bastion that you can tell is meant for being a nice wide open area for gathering big groups of people. Sometimes little markets will pop up there where the farmers markets and stuff will pop up every now and then, and they head out and those kinds of things. And when you first get off your ship, you're kind of, all of you are wrangled over to that on whatever day you happen to arrive. And you are met by our famous, which you will begin to know as you're introduced to Constable Crowder. And let us go through. So this is a little flashback of you. Think of that everybody was in the inn at the moment at a table, probably around Skull, or we'll use character names at this point, around Sir Klaus, who has gathered you together, and you have just agreed to go with him on an expedition. He has chosen to help out the dwarves over at the silver mine, and you've graciously accepted his invitation to help. And then we flash back to that first day you step foot, and this is kind of a little bit what each one of you remember. So as you step off the ship, you just spent 3 of the worst months of your life enduring. You are greeted, or more accurately, corralled into what appears to be a marching quad by a tall, well-built man wearing a bulbous breastplate and a leather duster. Trench coat, for those of you that aren't sure what that is. With a hand on his sword, he addresses all of you so-called adventurers. This is the only talk you'll be given. You break any law in this town, and you will be hanged. If you kill someone here, you will be hanged. If you steal something, and I don't care if it's an apple off a cart, you will be hanged. If you fornicate with an unwilling participant, you will be hanged slowly. If I deem any of your horseshit to be more than I care to handle, you will be hanged. He points to a man behind, hanging from a rope, obviously dead for several days, and he says, "You see Henry there? He thought it'd be funny to set a house on fire of the guy who wouldn't sell him a cheap horse. As you can see, he doesn't think it's funny anymore. Outside of this town, there are no laws, but in here, you stretch if you get out of line." As he points vaguely to the lands outside of the town, which you probably have seen as the ships were coming in, or maybe you've kind of taken a walk at some point later on after this, but he vaguely points out behind him, which stretches to the horizon. You can see dark forests, rolling hills, ominous mountains, and vast plains. He continues, "You have arrived to the most dangerous place you have ever been. Whatever rumors you heard back home are like child's fairy tales compared to what you greet you out there. Many from back east refer to it as Revonar, but I call it the Beast. It chews the weak up and swallows the little pieces never be seen again. If you're stupid, the Beast will eat you. If you are reckless, the Beast will eat you. If you are greedy," and he pauses, "well, hell, you're all greedy, or you wouldn't be here. But let that greed drive you too far for too long, the Beast will eat you." He pauses for a few moments, and he looks each one of you in your eye with a penetrating stare. "Maybe, just maybe, some among you are here to do more than get rich. Maybe, just maybe, you have the strength of character to help this town carve its way into the Beast. Maybe even tame it enough for more of these lands to become civilized. Maybe you're worth me learning your name. But I suspect most of you would just be a waste of my time. So go face the Beast. See what metal you're made of. Hero or coward, legend or nameless corpse. But whatever you end up being, do not break my laws." And he kind of, at that point, introduces himself as Constable Crowder. He whips around, turns away, and then he heads back to where the constable's barracks are. And he does that for every single new ship that comes in, and for every single new adventurer that sets foot for the first time on Revonar. They get that speech, which I will probably go over each and every time one of my groups has a brand new player, or they're completely brand new players. You'll get to hear that each time. So then we kind of flash back to sitting in our tavern, and you are being prepared to go to help out at what one of the rumors was, is that they needed some help at the silver mine. Now, most of the time, this is for my players that are here too, most of the time we're going to do very little RP sessioning in town, because I want town to not take up a lot of the session time. I want the adventure to take up the session time more than I want the town. It doesn't mean that there won't be some times where we do some RP, but for the most part, there's not going to be too much of that. So like if we're doing shopping, we're not going to do a lot of big RP shopping scenes or anything like that. We're going to get that out of the way as quick as we can and get to the adventure. Most of the other RPing that you want to do in town can be done on the Discord channel amongst yourselves. And that is definitely encouraged and would be really fun for everybody to do. And I've already seen many of you participating in that, which is super cool. But let's fill you in. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll more narrate what's gone on in town. So is there anybody that wanted to spend some money once you spoke to Sir Klaus? You indicated that you would like to go and help and investigate the silver mines, which I'm going to tell you about the information you have about that in just a second. They are several days away. Was there anybody that felt like they needed to purchase any equipment currently so we can get that done and out of the way?
I did want to buy the supplies needed to cast Find Familiar.
Oh, okay. Yep. So there is easily found. So the place you would go, let me bring up my correct screen here. That would be this one. So you will find that at Belshazzar's Emporium. I will be getting a map that has keyed information on it, so there will eventually be numbered so you know exactly which of the buildings in Bastion it is. I'm still working on some of that, but for now you know that it's one of those. You're able to go there, and for any shopping in town, it is the player's handbook price, plus I would like you to give me a perception roll. And if you do well, it'll be the price. If you do poorly, it'll be a little bit higher. First roll of the night. Yay. All right, an 11 is good enough so that you can get the normal player's handbook price for the ingredients that you are looking for. So you can go ahead and mark those off of your character sheet, and you do have that, and you would have enough time to cast your familiar and have your familiar. Do you know what familiar you're going to be using?
Obviously, it would be the Raven.
Okay, awesome. I'll probably on the fly get a Raven token up here pretty quick, but we'll get to that in a moment. So cool. Anything else from anybody else that feels like they're... Now, as far as like water and rations, you already typically start out with enough rations to go out for an expedition, and then only after you come back do we decide how much you spend on refilling up the rations you used. So you don't have to buy them now, because everybody should already have at least 10 or more, and that's all the ration numbers will be done at the end of a session.
Faik has been scraping the few coppers left in his pouch together. Doesn't have enough money to buy anything in town, which is half the reason he seeked out Sir Klaus. So,
awesome. All right, and that's good. Yeah, most adventurers come here poor, but they're hoping to seek their fortunes. So let's tell you a little bit. So, when Skull found out, or I keep saying Skull, and I should say Sir Klaus. I'm going to get it right. It's first session. Sir Klaus, when you first heard about the rumor, you found out by asking around in the tavern. Now, the tavern you're in is called the Lovely Coin. This is the tavern. Let me bring my notes up. There they are. Yeah. So this is the tavern that is specifically meant for the adventurers. And some cool things about this tavern. Number one, it's ran by Rula, an ex-adventurer. And she, a half-orc, runs the tavern. And she makes sure that welcoming heroes and adventurers is on her priority list. She makes sure that she knows each of you by your name. She's the one who pays for rumors, pays for information about where adventurers could go, because one of the things that she is tasked with is making sure that the bored adventurers don't do things in towns that would get them hanged. So the more things they can go out and investigate, the more expeditions they can go on, the safer they can be without doing something in town that would get them run out. So she takes that seriously, and she's willing to pay for that type of information. So when you go out and you might see something, you can decide if you want to keep that for your group or if you want to share it, and then you can earn not only in-game gold, but you can also earn experience for your character. And we'll talk about some of those roles coming up. So Sir Klaus had heard about this rumor from Rula, in fact, that the silver mine, which is called... so many screens, that's just the problem with this thing. The Dankhill Silver Mine. It is a dwarven-run mine. It is a recent mine, Rula tells you, that's only been in operation for probably about a year or so. And it's ran by the two brothers of the dwarven Dankhill clan, Fargrim and Tordak. Now, Tordak is the foreman, who usually is the one that stays up at the mine for the most part, and Fargrim is one who runs the offices here in the town. So when Sir Klaus heard about the rumor, and Rula was telling you about this, she had said that Fargrim was looking for some help as several dwarf workers, several dwarf miners, had gone missing in the last week or so. And they were looking for some help to explore the mine, see if you could find and retrieve the lost dwarven miners, and that there was a reward possible. So they were willing to, for the return of the lost dwarves, they were willing to give out 2 gold trade bars, or the equivalent in silver bars, if you wish, because it is a silver mine. Now, trade bars in this, there's basically, each trade bar is meant to be shipped back across the vast ocean. They melt down a lot of gold, turn it into bar, which is easier to move, and that's 100 gold pieces each. So they're offering basically to you and whoever you can entice into helping you, Sir Klaus, basically 2 gold trade bars if you can retrieve the missing dwarves in the mine. Now, you've also learned that when you talk to Fargrim, who is at the office there, you did pick up 2 more pieces of information. Number 1, they've shut the mine down currently, because when they sent a search party to find the first dwarf who went missing, immediately a second one went missing, and some strange sounds were heard just before it happened that spooked the rest of the miners, and they pulled them out at that point. They just pulled everybody out. Now, everybody in town has probably heard of some of the rumors, which are about deeper in the mountains, though not supposed to be that close to this town, but deep in these giant mountains to the south of the town, Port Bastion, there has been seen a dragon flying overhead, but nobody has encountered it. It's never messed with the town. Nobody's actually been anywhere near it, and it hasn't come anywhere near anybody here. But it has been seen every now and then to fly over at a very high altitude, heading off to the north somewhere, and then sometimes seen coming from the north heading back to the south, but deep into the mountains. But that does spook some of them, and that is one of the reasons that they have shut the mine down so quickly. Is a lot of these mine workers are very superstitious, and they were thinking this was some type of bad luck or something. So they shut it down, and they're hoping that you guys will go in and take a look. Other than that, the only thing that you have, Sir Klaus, is that you know that when you get up to the mine, you should talk to Tordak Dankhill. He is the foreman, the brother of Fargrim. And I probably, when I give you guys a chance to do something here, I'll type both of those names in if somebody's keeping notes, so that you have them the way I have them spelled, and we can keep that going. So I think what we should do then is have a nice first little scene of, it's the morning of you're about to leave. You've all met at the Lovely Coin to have your breakfast just before you're going to go. The sun is probably just starting to rise, and you know it's only a few days south. There's an easily followed trail, but it still is out in the country area a little bit. and I think we will set up there. And who would be the first to show up at this meeting of this brand new expedition? Who would be the first one to be at the table that morning?
It'd probably be me.
All right. Cool. So as you're sitting there, give us a little bit of idea of what you look like as far as what the other patrons can see, or what Rula would see as far as your gear, your clothing, your just overall kind of look as you're sitting there eating what the morning breakfast, which is just like some scrambled eggs and some fried potatoes that they have whipped up.
I appear as a very rough-looking individual, though my clothing is clean and straight. It's my appearance, my physical appearance seems more rough than my equipment or my clothing. My face itself is broken nose and scarred. My countenance appears to be somewhat bored or exhausted, even while eating. However, I am wearing chainmail, and over top of that, I am wearing a black and white checked tabard, and not currently being worn on me is a pair of hand axes, since that'd be uncomfortable in a chair while eating breakfast. I kind of scan the room as I eat, waiting for my team to appear, taking everything in, and just kind of waiting.
Awesome. So who would be the next to arrive?
I can do it.
Awesome. So each of you have rooms here at the lovely Coin. Most of the adventurers get their rooms here until they can afford something better. So you come down a set of wooden stairs, and you see Sir Klaus, who you've just briefly talked to before. You've heard his request, and you've decided that needing money, that this sounds like a good, easy job for you. So as you come down and you see that description he just gave to us, and Sir Klaus kind of can see you coming down, what does he see? I know you described it a little bit in the beginning, but just give us the overall look of what the patrons would see, clothing and equipment-wise, on you as you descend the stairs, and then you take your seat at the table for your scrambled eggs and fried potatoes.
Sure. So when Sir Klaus looks up the stairs, what he actually sees is about tree trunk-like limbs that start to come down the stairs, and Faik is dressed in shades of light tan and brown, and his clothes are dusty but not unkept. As he starts to come down further, you keep waiting for the torso of Faik, but you continue to see legs, then a torso, and then a head, and there's a 6'8" tall gentleman in a cloak and a hood that's pulled down, and there's a slight glow that comes out from under the hood, and it's not obvious. It's not like a bright light that you see. It's just something's not quite right. There's a glow that sits there, and Faik walks over, and he's got a shield on his left arm, a scimitar that's on his side, and again, the clothing is brown and dirtyish, but not, it's not terrible clothing. It's not ragged in any way. You can tell he keeps it clean. Across his back, he's got 3 javelins there, as many would actually have, like a bow or a quiver of arrows. And he walks over and sits across from you and sort of nods at a waitress and asks for a little bit of food. Ironically, though, for his size, you notice he doesn't order a whole lot of food and scrapes through his pouch a little bit, drops a couple of coppers for the little bit that he seems to be able to afford on the table, and just kind of quietly says, "Good morning. When do we set off?"
Fake. Thank you. We're just waiting for the others. Are you not eating more? It's a long travel.
I had a light breakfast earlier, so I'm not real hungry right now. But thank you.
Very well. Just making sure that you are well fed before we journey south. It's quite a distance.
Awesome. So as we kind of that scene happens, within moments or two, we see our next person to come down. Who would like to be our next coming down the stairs?
I can do it.
Okay. So again, same thing. You see the two that are sitting there. You recognize Sir Klaus. You may not have been introduced to the other genasi that is sitting at the table yet. But you did know that Sir Klaus was gathering a group of people to go. So as you come down the stairs, they would kind of see you. They would hear the creak. Go ahead and describe to us what they see equipment-wise and just, overall appearance-wise as you also go ahead and sit down at the table with this group.
So as Chill walks down the stairs, he's a relatively relatively thin dwarf, a short gray beard, and like a one ponytail with gray hair. He has a brown staff, and he's wearing kind of tattered leathers with like a green cloak over top of it. He's trying to smoke a pipe, but is looking kind of in frustration as the tobacco's still damp from the ride, and he's been unable to get more. It's kind of his first order of business when he gets back.
Awesome.
Yeah, but he saunters down to the table and joins in with a good morning.
Yeah, and like as you're sitting there, like one of the wait staff of the inn that you've seen here moving around already, even in the morning, already sets kind of a plate down in front of you of some food. And you see your companions there. They're kind of eating and hurrying up to. It looks like they're getting ready to travel. And so we have our final hero to descend the stairs. Go ahead and tell us as we see the three heads sitting at the table who are eating breakfast turn as one more figure comes down the stairs and it creaks a little bit as you walk down. Go ahead and give us that physical description and then come to the table.
And somewhat lanky, thin elf. Not more so than you'd usually expect for an elf, though. Very pale skin, as I said before. Dressed for travel, but he's carrying a backpack that looks a lot more like it was equipped with things that you would hear from reading a book about what you would need for travel, rather than what is actually practical for travel. And so he sits that down at the foot of the chair next to him as he takes a seat at the table and says, "I see I'm the last one here, then."
Seems to be.
Thank you for joining us, Irevel. I am saying that correctly, correct?
Yes.
Yes. We're just having breakfast and making a few last checks before we head out.
All right, so awesome. We have met our party. We have our kind of beginning information. At times, again, the scenes in town will be very light. There's not going to be actual even adventures in the town. Everything happens outside of the town. This is just a safe space, kind of a West Marches kind of style thing. So we'll skip through a rest of that. We see them finish up breakfast. They become very stoic as they prepare to go out into these lands that, from everything they've heard and from everybody that's talked to them, it didn't seem like it was just a joke that everybody says how tough and how dangerous these lands are. You get the impression that everybody has quite a bit of fear about what may lie out there. And coming from the Sword Coast, you've fought things, you've seen things, you've heard of things, you've had family members killed by things that are all dangerous, and you come from a dangerous world, but the way people talk about Revonar, it just feels even more dangerous and present, and you're about to embark on it for the first time. But you also a little bit of excitement for what you might find. Maybe this is the turning point in your life. Maybe this is where you finally get rich, or you finally get that powerful magic that you wanted, or you finally learn some forbidden knowledge that nobody knew about, or you're just out here for excitement and adventure and exploration. Whatever it might be for any of you individuals, it's all kind of those emotions are kind of mixing around as you gather your equipment, you check your gear one last time. one of the things that ends up happening also, let's see where that's at. Got one more thing for you. Oh yeah, so there are plenty of other adventurers, and you see some other expeditions, other people. You see other groups of adventurers, and some of them are talking with each other. Maybe they're negotiating about maybe going out on an expedition. You might see a group that's just come back, and they're taking their breakfast for the first time they've been back in a week or so. And you see all manner of different types of people here. This is the most eclectic grouping of races and cultures and people with different skills and abilities and reputations all gathered in one spot in Port Bastion. And anytime that someone is going out on a new expedition, it's custom, or it's kind of like a tradition that the group leaders always tell Rula that they're going out. It's like this, hey, we're going out, and it's always that kind of thing, like honor us if we don't come back, cheer us if we do type thing. And so she always knows when a group is leaving, and as she sees your group get up, she shouts as you begin to walk to the door. And you've seen this happen a couple of times while you've been in the Lovely Coin. And she raises the mug, and everybody else in the room raises their mug as you continue to walk. And you guys don't stop. You've seen this happen before with other parties and other expeditions. And you hear around you, she yells out, "All right, all you mongrels," shouts the woman who was just described to you as Rua, the half-orc proprietor. That's who you guys know her as. "Raise your drink for those who have never returned." And you see everybody raise their drink. And then a moment of silence until all hands are held high in homage. And you see a bunch of people run around, and if they didn't have a drink in their hand, they get one given to them by one of the servant staff. And you guys continue to head towards the door. And the only noise we hear are your footsteps heading out as everybody raises their hand. And finally, all hands are raised. And then Rula speaks one more time into the silence and says, "O gods and goddesses, both new and old, protect the fallen, guide the living, and smite those sorry asses who are too afraid to face the beast." And then at that moment, even as you guys are walking out, you shout it out too, and everybody around you shouts out at the exact same time, "The beast!" And then they take their drink in honor of another group going out on expedition. And this is in honor of you guys going out on your first expedition. All right. Last chance for anybody that needs any equipment or items before we head out the gates, and this would be the southern gates of Port Bastion.
Well, Faik doesn't need anything else, but for anyone who looks back at the table because he was the last to leave, you can see him scraping the crumbs off of everybody else's plate.
Awesome. All right, so we trudge through the town, which is just now waking up, and we head to the gate. You see several guards that are there, recognize city town uniforms. They see you coming up, and you hear a shout to the top of the guardhouse. You hear the sounds of chains, and then the doors begin to swing open and creak open nice and slow. And they just kind of give you a friendly wave as you go. And then the moment the last person steps through the door, the big gate starts to shut again. And then just before it shuts, a dwarf comes running out and seems to have like a light pack on his shoulder. And Sir Klaus, you would recognize this as... Once I get back to my notes. You recognize this as Fargrim Dankel. He's the one you talked to in town to gather some information. And he comes running up and he's like, Sir Klaus, wait up. I wish to travel with you to the mine.
That is fine by me. I mean, it is your mine.
And he's like, thank you. I just want to get there and talk to my brother, and I just think it'll be easier if we're there and we can finally get these lost miners, their families. I'm just heartbroken that something has happened, and I just hope that you'll be able to find them. And I just want to make this as smooth as possible. So Dankel kind of joins the group. He's got his pack with him, and he kind of gets in march with you guys, and then we begin our journey to the mine. Now, in this game, one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure travel, and I'm probably over-explaining things just because we have new viewers, and I'll probably do that whenever we have a new group. I won't do it each time, but this time, since we have a new group, I'll explain a little bit of it. That one of the things I wanted to do in this style of game, West Marches, is I wanted to make the travel from the adventure to town or from town to adventure a little bit more streamlined and not so just random rolls and then all of a sudden it's 6 sessions before we even get to where we want to go, that kind of thing. So we have a little kind of almost like, think of it as a mini game that we're going to play. It's more like skill checks that we're going to make. Each person, the expedition leader, had to either volunteer or assign and 4 different people to the 4 positions. Let me get to those notes real quick. There we go. All right, so we have the Navigator. This is the person who is up at the front and is trying to follow the trail accurately. It doesn't mean that you typically won't find where you're going. The only thing this does is if they make a pretty good roll on this, you're not going to spend as much time to get there. If you make a bad roll, it just means you took a wrong fork in the trail, or you went down the wrong ravine and then you came up on the wrong side and you had to backtrack, that kind of thing. So it's not that you won't ever get there, but it might take you a little bit longer. And the downside of that is you might need to use more rations to fill up when you get back. This roll also covers going there and coming back with the assumption that you're alive. If it's a TPK, well, then we don't have to worry about what happens after that. So we have our Navigator, and that person will be making a roll, and we'll do that one in just a moment. The other thing we'll have is a Forager. Now, our Forager is the person who isn't necessarily paying attention to where we're going so much as they're keeping their eyes out for useful items, useful plants, useful animals, useful things that can be sold back in town for a little bit of additional coin. Sometimes you've seen these boards that are kind of posted up in the lovely coin from like the apothecary or the leather worker, the leathersmith. And they might say, hey, if you happen to see these things, and they might list off some things, I'm willing to pay this for that. So our Forager is kind of keeping an eye out for some additional resources that they might be able to scavenge on the way. And there's a couple of benefits to that. They can sell those things back at town, which could help cover the cost of refilling rations and things like that. And, sometimes it might even be something quite valuable could happen. So they will be making a roll for that. But they're not really paying attention to much else. They're looking at the plants and the trees in a way as to think of like, oh, is that a useful thing? Or could we sell that? Or could we, that type of thing. Then we're going to have what I like to call is the scout, the person who's most on edge battle-wise or combat-wise. They're keeping an eye out for anything that's just going to jump out at you onto the trail. A really good roll for this will mean that you could find out. A really good roll for this would be. I have my notes here. I'm just slipping through them here. That you find like a new ally, or you come up with an additional rumor, which the rumors are more things that people can go and explore. The other thing that might happen, like a failure in this type of thing, might mean that you had to battle some creature or some wildlife that it's not a battle to the death. It's more of a battle that stalled you and kind of wasted time. So you end up wasting a few more rations than you thought you would need. That kind of thing. And then the last one is a person who's keeping their eye out for anything that might be something you would go explore again. Or like ruins off in the distance, or wrecked ships on the beach, or depressions in the trees that might suggest a temple, or something in the mountain where you might spy a cave of some sort that maybe somebody hadn't noticed before, those kinds of things. So there's this last person who's kind of keeping an eye on the terrain for things that might be, hey, we could do an expedition there later on. So those are the 4 things we're doing. If the group has 5 players, there's only the 4. They just have to distribute the 4 abilities. There's no modifiers typically except for what your character has, so nobody's helping anybody else on theirs, just to keep this simple. And nobody can do more than one of them. There can only be one per one of these roles. So normally, when we do more of these expeditions, I won't go back over that big, long description of that for you guys. But for this one, I just wanted to go ahead and do that out. So, Sir Klaus, who is going to be, we'll start with our navigation role. Who is going to be the navigator?
I believe Teal Blacktree is our navigator.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right. So, Teal, what I want you to do is first we look at how far you're traveling. That's how hard this is going to be. So if we look at our map, and I'm going to switch us over a second in Twitch here so they can see our battle map for a moment. There we go. All right, and so you're heading down to the mine. So you're heading to the south, as you can see, and it's not too far. It's about 2-ish hexes down. 2-ish hexes is about a full day travel, but then you've got to get in the mountains, and it takes a little bit to get up the mountain, so it's about a day's travel through that 1 hex of mountain to the entrance of where the mine is. So you're thinking it's about a 2-ish day journey, though if you get lost, it may add another day or so. So we're going to travel 2 hexes. That tells me the first thing I need to know. Okay. So I have my difficulty number in mind. Not that you will know this, but Till, go ahead and give me a survival check.
That one.
There we go. Okay, so and that's okay. So a failure is. Ooh. So here's what happened. This is a good one. I love it. So you made the first day was light forest. You come out of the plains, you passed farms, you passed a lot of these farms out on the south side. Then it gets into light forest. You see a couple of different other townsfolk that are out there. That we've got some lumberers and we've got lumberjacks and wood camps and things like that out there. There's rangers out there getting food and foraging and that kind of thing. And then as you continue south, it gets much more sparse quickly. And as you get into the mountains, what you realize is the trail leads you to the mountains pretty well. But once you're in the mountains, you're trying to have to pick your way through. And even you have Fargrim with you, you realize quickly that Fargrim is the person who usually stays in town and stays in the office and is more of an office person than he is somebody who goes to the mine and actually isn't any help whatsoever for this. So you get lost a couple times by going up a mountain trail that brings you into basically a ravine that then you realize, wait a minute, we need to be up there, but we can't really get up there. We got to backtrack, go around, then go up a much easier way than trying to climb a steep cliff. And then you do it like 2 or 3 times, back and forth, back and forth. You make a couple of wrong choices. The result of this is, because it's a critical fail, is that everybody is exhausted from climbing these mountains when you finally get there. So everybody will have -1 to their ability checks only. So these will just be basically the level 1 of exhaustion. And then once you've done a long rest, you can go ahead and get rid of that exhaustion. But remember, you can only do a long rest back in town. While you're outside of town, you can do short rests, but you can't do long rests. You must go back to town to do a long rest. All right, so we'll have, if we do it, there probably won't be a lot of those. It's not like, but those will be things like if you say, I want to jump across a ravine and I make you do that's even, an athletics check, then you'll have -1 on your die roll. So just keep that in mind. All right, so we're starting out a little rocky. All right,
Sorry,
we're
guys.
starting out a little rough, and that's okay. That's good. That adds character to this expedition. So our next role should be our Forager, who is going to be the one that is keeping an eye out for things that might help offset the cost of this expedition.
Faik is
that
our
was me.
quartermaster. Yeah.
All right, so let me look. So we know we're going 2 hexes. The rest of that looks normal. Okay, I have my difficulty number in mind. Go ahead and give me a nature check. Fahik. Oh, killed it. Critical success. All right, so critical success is... Oh, yeah. Check this out. Hold on a second. Let me open it up. I gotta find where I kept it. I have this cool random thing. Oh, shoot. I should have had it open. I wasn't expecting a critical success. Where is it? This is good. You guys are going to love this. There it is. Okay. Table B. All right. Let me look at these notes. So now, minimize. And bring this back up. So you're going to find something as you're walking, Fahik. You actually notice something that one of the apothecaries said was a very valuable thing that they needed. There were, and you know that he said that if you brought this, that he was willing to pay 100 gold if you could find it, and you see it. You're like, I think it's right there, just off of the trail.
And then I try to jump across the ravine, and the -1 makes me fall in.
No, no, it's nice and easy. The 20 made it so that you could do it. So the first thing you do is, yeah, okay. So give me a 1d100 roll. This is nice and fun. Okay, so 59. All right, and give me a second 1d100 roll.
Hold on a sec. I got a 17-year-old talking to me in the background. What was that one?
Give me another 1d100.
All right, coming up.
59 and 65. All right, so this is a plant called the monk's necklace, and what it does is they take the bark of this type of tree that can be ground down and then turned into diluted with water, so almost like a tea in a way, and it can help with some of the stronger fevers and illnesses that many of the townsfolk suffered here, or colonists, as you can think of them, have suffered as they have come to this new land, and there have been new types of, the flu and different mosquitoes and malaria and those kinds of things, but they're equivalent to it. And they've been battling that, and they have found that this tree, which is just a small bush, but the bark of it being infused in water and then diluted with water and then just boiled over enough time, they call it the monk's necklace, and it is something that helps them cure that type of sickness. And they are sorely lacking in finding this, so you are able to harvest one little bushel of it, which equals 100 gold pieces when you get back to town to sell it. So you can go ahead and write that down on your character sheet for now, and if you get back to town, then you can sell that, and it'll be part of the group loot and divided however the group has decided that stuff gets divided. Awesome job. All right, so let me get back to my notes. Okay, so who's keeping an eye out that you're not engaged, you're not overrun by something, you're not surprised by something hunting you or stalking you or running into by accident, this kind of thing, danger-wise, creature-wise. Who's the person who is the scout of the group, the one that's keeping an eye out for danger?
That would be me.
All right. So, to make this one, we need to know how many people in this group are wearing heavy armor. Is that at a 0?
I think so.
Perfect. How many are wearing medium
Well, I'm wearing.
armor?
Oh, I don't remember. Is chain shirt heavy or medium?
I believe chain is medium.
It's medium.
Okay, so we have how many?
I am.
Okay, so that's 1. I don't have the camera up. There we go. Let me get to my camera here. Okay, so 1 medium. All right, so we got a +1 for that. And is there anybody that is an arcane caster? So any wizards in the group? Any sorcerers? Or, let's see, wizard, sorcerer, or arcane-wise, that would probably be, or warlock.
Warlock.
Warlock, anybody? No? Okay, so we got okay, so I have my target number. All right, so you are going to roll a stealth check for your group. And we'll take a break here once we get these done. 18 is a really good roll. So, awesome. So, you are able to run into... So, you're halfway down when you notice some shapes in the woods off to the west of your group. And not many of the party are paying attention, but Sir Klaus is at that moment. And as you watch and you slow your party and you stop them, you realize that it is some of the scouts that are coming back from the south, looks like they're heading back to town. And you recognize them as there's groups of scouts that go out and just check the land and are sometimes out just keeping an eye on the surrounding area. So as they see you and they recognize that you're adventurers probably from the town, they give you a wave, and one of them comes up to you and introduces themselves as Tawny, and she looks like she's the leader of this scout group, and she kind of holds her hand out as her group kind of walks past you, and your group is kind of just kind of waiting there with you, and she walks up and, hand out and just says, introduces herself as Tawny.
Well met, Tawny.
She kind of looks at you and then looks at the group you have, and she kind of says, traveling for trouble. That's the smartest way to be out here. It's been quiet. And she kind of looks around and she keeps an eye on her group that's continuing to walk, but they're walking slow enough that it's going to be easy for her to catch up. She says, it's been a little too quiet out here. We haven't seen anything, and usually that spells trouble, so keep an eye out. There's something out here scaring away the game. We haven't seen deer. We haven't seen any of the things that we normally might hunt down and bring back for food or hides. That means there's something around this area. So just keep an eye out.
Thank you for the advice, Tawny. Wonder if it could be the dragon that's been supposedly sighted around here.
Yeah, she looks up like kind of when you're looking up, and she's like, oh, I haven't had anybody see the dragon in several months. Was probably about the last sighting. I'm not sure if it's that, but definitely if you see the big shadow going across the ground, take cover. You never know.
Well, I can tell you that on the way back to town, we have encountered nothing. Though animal life activity does increase as you get closer.
Yeah, she gives you a nod, and then and she says, well, sunlight's wasting, and she says, well met, and safe travels. Hopefully we'll see you back at town, and then she kind of takes her leave, and then she heads off. Now you can mark down Tawny now as a resource for you that you can go back and ask information out of town. So like, let's say you want to do an expedition out somewhere else, but you want to try to gather some information. One of the things you could do now is speak to Tawny to see if she maybe knows anything that could give you a little bit of tidbits or not. Or sometimes she will be able to provide new places that you might go and actually take an expedition to. So every now and then she might be able to provide something like that. So you have a new, basically it's an ally. So you were able to garner an ally.
So does that work for party members if they join up in other expeditions throughout, or is that something just for Sir Klaus?
That one's for Sir Klaus, yeah.
Gotcha.
That one's for the
Thanks.
expedition
Good.
leader.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Neat.
All right. Yep. Let's do the last one, and then we'll take our first break of the evening. Might be our only break as we go, but we'll see. So our last roll we need to make, this is for the person who's just keeping an eye out for something in the land that catches your eye and makes you think, that should be something we go explore, or that should be something that maybe there's a temple there, maybe there's a ruin, or maybe there's a shrine, or maybe there's just something odd that we should go look at. So for our last roll, who's going to be making that one?
That'd be me.
Perfect. All right. So on this one, this is a straight perception check roll.
Okay.
Kill.
Bam.
Another
Nice.
one. Critical success. So what you will find, and this is actually on the way back, so it's not on the way there. You guys will climb up into the mountains, and as you're up in a higher elevation, you're going to see something that looks like a ruin or a building or something out in the forest to the north of the mountains that you happen to be in. You can probably tell somebody good enough to be able to find it, and you'll be able to mark it on the table in Rula's Inn. One of the things that Rula's Inn is known for is there's a large central table where all the adventurers carve in a map of the beast. And so as more of the hexes of the map become uncovered, it's basically they're physically carving those things into this table that any of the adventurers can go up and look at the table, and you're encouraged to participate in. Now, with a rumor such as this, a sighting, you can, if you tell Rula about it, she's willing to give you 10 gold, and you will earn experience points for telling her, for your character, for telling her about the rumor when you return. If you choose to keep it to yourself as a group because you want to be the first ones to explore it before anybody else goes there, you forego the 10 gold and you forego the extra XP boost for the person who found it. So in this case, our person who rolled for the rumor. And you guys will have first dibs. You will be the only group that knows where it's at for a month. After that, somehow, some way, the rumor gets out and all the other groups find out about it. You can't keep it hidden for longer than a month. Loose lips, sink ships, that whole thing. So you can make a decision. You don't have to decide right now. You guys can decide that either at the very end of the session, or you can even decide it later on after the session if you wish. So keep that in mind. And what will happen mechanically in the game is I will add a brand new item to the map, and I will either reveal it to you guys or I will reveal it to everybody. If you tell Rula, it'll get put on the map, just like Monday night's group also had a critical success on this roll, and they were also able to uncover a new ruin, and there was a new rumor out just a few days after their expedition went out. So we've got 2 new ones out there now, so that's cool. All right.
This 1 month limitation, is that like 1 month in game or 1 month out of game?
Yep, 1 month game. So it's 2 of our weeks, gameplay weeks, but it's basically a month in game. So you'll get probably 2 sessions to go look at it before anybody else, if you try that. So up to you guys. All right. So other than that, we arrive at the front entrance of the mine. And I think when we come back, we'll introduce that portion and we will jump into that. So taking our break a little bit late here, but let's go ahead and take a 5 to 8 minute-ish break. I've got 9:43 on my clock here, so how about we come back at 9:50-ish and we continue our adventure, and we've arrived at the Dantkill Silver Mine, and we find out what the heck's going on here. So stay tuned for those of you that are out there in our audience land. Let's jump back over to our cameras real quick. Our players are already doing a fantastic job, and I can't wait to see what happens next. So stay tuned. We will be right back. we're back from break. Here we go. So, setting the scene. This is late afternoon, almost evening, as you come up to finally see where the silver mine works are. And you can see here that there are several barracks that are built here. And there are dwarves that are kind of milling around outside the barracks. You can see plenty of tools. You can see plenty of mine carts. You can see plenty of wooden track that they've laid. It's clear they've been making a bigger opening on the front of this mine. And as you get there, you see the brother. So you see Fargrim and kind of run up to Tordek. And Tordek is who he was described to you as his brother, and he looks just like Fargrim. And you can tell that he's the mine foreman. These are the two brothers that own this mine. And he kind of waves, and he sees that he's brought you adventurers, and he's not met anybody yet. So Fargrim kind of waves you over, Sir Klaus, to come over, and as you walk over, he introduces you, and he says, "This is my brother Tordek," and Tordek kind of offers out this huge kind of paw of a hand for a dwarf, and you can tell this is a dwarf used to work, very well built, still young and prime, and is very strong. And as you shake his hand, you can feel the strength in Tordek.
Well met, Tordek. I am Sir Klaus Kovacs.
And he kind of looks to Fargrim and he says, "We just need to get this mess over with. All of the workers are just spooked. I don't want to send them in there if we're going to lose a couple more. I've already had some families come out looking for those that we're still searching for, but I don't want to send anybody in there until we know what's going on." And he kind of looks each of you up and down, and he kind of looks to his brother, and he's like, "You didn't want to bring the town guard? You thought?" And Fargrim's like, he's like, no. The Rula told me the adventurers are just they're heroes. This is the type of thing they can handle. And they kind of have like a sort of side discussion with themselves, and Fargrim just, you can tell is convincing Tordek that it'll be fine. You're the right people for the job for this. You'll be able to help out, and it'll be fine, and we can get the mine back up. And you can tell by the little conversation that Tordek is clearly worried about the workers, but is also worried about not being able to work and get the mine going, realizing they have quotas, realizing they're losing a chance to make money, but he's obviously pulled everybody out. So it's not necessarily like the type of foreman who doesn't care about all the workers and just shoves them in there. He cares, but he wants to get to that silver. Yeah, it's a big silver mine. And so they call you over, and each of you are up near the front of the mine, and he says, "Well, here's what we have. About a week and a half ago, one of our dwarfs went missing, didn't come back during the roll call. We always make a roll call after each shift. It's dangerous in there. We realize cave-ins, we're used to this. Mining is a dangerous business, and we always make sure we try to know where our people are. The minute we didn't know, or that person didn't show back up, we started a search party. That's very systematic, the way you do it in every mine," he says. And but then we hear weird noises. Somebody goes down one of the mine shaft area, and then all of a sudden another person's gone missing. And now 2 of our dwarves are gone. And then as we're trying to pull people out, we don't know what's going on. There's weird noises happening. I think more people are just more frightened than anything actually happened to them. We start pulling people out. A third person doesn't make roll call. So I have 3 workers in there somewhere, and I don't want to lose any more of my people. And he says, "I'm hoping you'll be able to help us out." And he lays out on a table that seems to be sitting out in front of this mine a map of the new tunnels that they've been digging into this cave. And it's this big silver vein that they have found, and they've kind of been following. And so this map shows 2 levels so far, and they're very systematic, very straight lined 90-degree angle tunnels that they're creating. And he said the first level was completely searched and we found nothing. It was only on the second level when we went further down. It's our newest part of the mine. We just started getting to that part of the silver vein, is when all this trouble started happening. And you can see that the second level of this isn't mapped out quite as well. And it looks like it might have met up with a few natural cave openings or caves also. And they kind of use those to continue to follow the vein of silver that they've been kind of mining out. And he says it's got to be in this area where they're going to be found. He says, my people are hardy. They're usually not afraid of much, but I don't want to lose any more, so I'm hoping you can help us out.
Was the original worker, was he working in the new level by the natural formations?
Yes, we've only seemed to have lost. I mean, they didn't make roll call. They were working the lower level. And actually, we have 2 names for you. Or we have the 3 names. So we had Arton Iron Fist was the first one to go missing. Female dwarf, who is one of the hardworking miners, was working during second shift down in the new tunnels. They were branching out and widening some of the tunnels because they were going to start making offshoot mine shafts of it. But they were trying to widen the main part first. Didn't come back after they did the roll call. When they went down to search, they searched all of first level, didn't find her. Went and searched. People got spooked. Everybody started pulling out. There was some panic going on, and all of a sudden, I hear that Baron Orkfo doesn't show up. Male dwarf gives you a description. He gives you physical descriptions of both of them. So he's part of the search crew. Doesn't come back, and then when we take a final roll call outside of the mine, I gather everybody together. I find out that Eldeth True Anvil is also missing. I have 3 missing people in the mine. And he gives you physical descriptions of the 3.
Had the search party, had they turned up any evidence of what might have happened to the first one that went missing?
No, he kind of shakes his head and says, I don't think so. We didn't see anything in there like nothing's happened. We've been mining in this place now for the last few months. We've been getting really good hauls out of the first level. We started breaking down into the second level. All routine. We've had very little cave-in. We've actually had no cave-ins. We've had no accidents whatsoever. But once they started hearing the noises and the sounds, it unnerved everybody. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was because rumors started spreading. I don't know if it was just gossip. I don't know. My crew, and he kind of looks over to make sure they can't really hear as he's just talking to you, and he lowers his voice a little bit, and he's like, they're superstitious. They get spooked a lot. If a black cat goes running by at the camp, we shut down for a few hours just to make sure nothing happens. So they're a little twitchy out here, and we hear the stories of the dragon. Here we are digging into the mountains. Who knows? But it can't be the dragon. None of these tunnels are big enough for that. I've seen them all myself.
Can you describe the sound and noises to us?
He tries, and you can tell he's only hearing it third hand from others that have heard it, but he's gotten conflicting stories, so he kind of gives you this, well, some have said it's high-pitched, some have said it's chattery, some have said it was some type of language, some other thought it was an animal growl. I don't know. They're spooked. I'm not getting any good information out of them.
Understandable. Well, we will take this burden off you and your miners so that you can relax. We'll deal with it. And when we return, you can continue with your mining operation.
Should we take torches with us, or is the way lit?
The torches actually probably have gone out at this point. They usually do keep them lit. There are groups that go through and they refill the lanterns. On the first level, that sets up at first lanterns, but then as they get deeper in and they get to the newer tunnels, it's just the torches that they have. Those have probably burned out, he tells you at this point. He can provide you with some if you need some torches. You're welcome to grab a lantern that they can replace if you wish.
It might actually be good for us to get some oil and refill the lanterns as we go, so we'll know what path we've traveled.
And that is a good idea. Yes.
It's a very good idea.
I was thinking of taking extra. I have brought my own lantern, but depending on how long we're down there, could use some extra oil myself.
Yeah, they're willing to give you if you request it. They're willing to give it to you. So however much you think you need.
Are the mine carts tracks on the second level as well?
No, they're mostly in the first level, and they started laying the new track, but that's one of the reasons they were widening the main pathway, was they could start linking up that and start bringing up ore. They weren't actually getting ore out of the second level yet. They were mostly prepping the main tunnel line, and they were starting to set up the branching tunnel. They do like a branch style of mining, similar to those of you that played Minecraft.
So main shaft and then additional shafts branching off of that.
Yeah,
okay.
Perpendicular, very straight. Yeah.
But if we put lamp oil in, say, one of the carts, we would be able to take it down to at least the beginning of the second level, correct?
It would be fairly close. It wouldn't be in the second level. It'd be right at the end of where the kind of the first level stops, and then it declines down. But yeah, it would be that far at least.
Okay, because that would at least make a easy point to rally from. Do you know if there are any? I know that you said there wasn't any cave-ins, but on the second level, are there any underground rifts, ravines, large openings that might be hard to traverse?
No. Most of it they've cut into. They have cut into what looked like a natural cave, but it was a very small style, like just more of like a fissure, but not like up and down, just more of just like a natural opening. It might have a little bit higher ceiling than the area that they're carving out, but it's definitely not a giant opening, and it's definitely nothing that would be hazardous or you would even have to look out for in that second level.
Okay. I don't know much about mines, so forgive me, but how is the second level connected to the first?
They dug a shaft, so they have branched out on the very first level, goes straight out, and then it's perpendicular lines of, you'll see like side shafts, they call them. And he's given you a map. There's like a map of it, so you'll have a map with you as you go. And so it'll show you, and you can see that it's a large double wide main shaft that has the 2 tracks in it, and then off of the sides perpendicular. All the way at the end of that, they make a curve that curves down, back around, and now they're going to come back up underneath it and do another. It almost lines up underneath, straight underneath, but it's several, it's like 30, 40 feet down as it makes the curve and comes back to where it needs to be. And then it's another straight line. And then they were just starting that. That's not wide enough yet for any of that. That was kind of the work that was going on, as they were widening the main tunnel.
Well, I think that's all that we need to know now. I look to the rest of the group. Does anybody else have any other questions?
No.
Nope.
I'll start grabbing torches and oils and loading up one of the mine carts.
I'll start helping with that task as well.
Yeah, so go ahead and just decide on what number you're taking and write it down, whatever number you feel you want to do, and just go ahead and write that down so you have it.
You said there's torches all the way through and lanterns, though, so we probably just need a couple lit
There's probably
torches to
unlit
light them
ones.
up on the way,
Yeah.
and some oil to refill. So
And I assume someone there would know how much oil they usually go through to relight the lanterns, or refill them rather.
Yeah, although this time that they're all ran out, yeah, that's probably take more to fill it back up again. And if you're gonna try to fill it to the brim so that it's still going when you come back, type thing. I think the
might be
lanterns
best.
will. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, it might be best if when we get down there to the second level, see how far the light, the torches are set. It might be better to light every other one instead of every one. Same on the first level, since that's mostly lanterns. The save on oil, maybe light every other one.
How do you all fare in the darkness? I can see rather well, but not perfectly.
I do not have night vision.
I see as well as a human does.
I can see fairly well in the dark.
I'd be willing to lead then, especially if we're going to go every other. Then I could see into some more of the corners between the lights.
Yeah, we can have you two lead the way while us two stay in the rear with my hooded lantern.
All right. All right, so we kind of see a flurry of activity. You load some stuff up into the cart.
I make sure to grab some rope too as we're putting stuff in there for our journey down.
Okay. And yeah, so they kind of, the two brothers see you off into the cave, and just like it seems like you're seeing, and it's easy to find the different lanterns and stuff. They have burned out at this point. It's been long enough that they've shut the mine down that it's used up all of that, but it's easy enough for you to go every other if you wish. It only takes you probably a minute or two to fill one up and then move to the next. The cart itself is pretty loud. It makes a lot of noise as it rumbles and squeaks as you're pushing it down. And you kind of get up to your very first, you're on the main branch and you have the two rail tracks. And you get up to your first set of branches that are perpendicular, basically going to your left and your right. What's your plan?
Is this still on the first level or the
Oh,
lower?
yeah. This is right at the first level still.
I don't really see a reason to search the first level too much, since all the trouble seems to be on the second.
Agreed. I think we head straight for the second level.
Okay. So yeah, so we see you guys pushing the cart through. You get to where the end of the track is. You pass quite a few branches, the off branches, as you go. You don't hear anything. Nothing seems out of place from the spot that you're in. And you get to where the track ends, and you realize then it's a downward curve, and you can tell that it's like a spiral ramp that goes down and around the corner, and you can't quite see when you get to that spot. And this is the cart won't be able to go any further.
So we'll leave the oils, take a few flasks with me, of course, but we'll leave the rest here. And I guess we'll continue the same way that we've been going. The two that can see the best in the dark ahead, and us blind bats in the back.
All right, so I'm...
I will make sure my weapon's drawn at this point.
Same.
Okay. Weapons out. Good. And so 2x2, single file, staggered. What are we thinking here? What does this look like as you guys begin to wind down the ramp?
How wide is the cave at this point?
Plenty of room. You could be 5 or 6 wide if you wanted to be. But...
Oh, okay. I'm
Like
going to
2 by
recommend
2.
we're 2x2.
Okay.
With a gap between everyone.
That sounds good.
All
I've
right.
suffered the sins of clustering before, so...
So, like, each person closest to the wall on their side, basically.
Okay. So even a little bit of a gap between the ones that are side by side. So more like this. Just generally on the map there.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
let's show our group here. Battle map. Perfect. Okay. So, all right. So yeah, you guys wind down this track, and you can tell now because you're paying attention to it that you feel like you're right under where the upper main tunnel is, and it unerringly through dwarven craftsmanship, you are pretty sure that it's exactly the same angle. It's just from what they said, it's probably 30 or 40 feet below it. And the ceilings here are about 10 feet. So they were starting to carve out, and you can see this one's a lot more unfinished. Like the other one was square as can be. They were even starting to put decoration almost. You could see intricate carvings. You could see it was all 10 by 10. It was just basically a 10 by 10 the whole way. A lot of effort had been put into it. This, you can tell, is more of they've done a rough cut, and they were going back and widening it and making it taller. So as you're going through, you can see parts where they're making this tunnel bigger. And you start to see that this goes through a few what seem to be natural caves. So like you'd come up to one and you look to your left, and it looks like a natural cave. And when you hold kind of the light into it, or when you peer into it with the dark vision at first, and then it doesn't go very far. It just goes 20 or 30 feet back, and then it's almost like an air pocket in the rock. You hold the light in there and you look around, and there's just nothing in there. It's just blank. It's a very small kind of just natural cave opening, almost like a porous kind of cave opening. What do you guys do?
Is one of you capable of checking for tracks? It's been about a week since the last dwarf was knowingly in here. So any recent tracks could give us clues.
I could look for traps. So yeah, I'll look around in this porous opening, and then a little farther ahead of us to see if I notice anything, any tracks.
Okay, so yeah, that would be a survival check.
Hopefully not another natural one.
No, it's pretty good. So one thing it's obvious there's a lot of booted feet that have come through here, and you've noticed that it's gone back and forth. You're fairly certain, judging by the size, that most of it looks dwarven foot. It's definitely boots, like leather-soled boots. You do not see anything that's a non-leathered boot at this point, and nothing stands out as something that just like, wait a minute, that's clearly not a dwarven foot. Everything seems to be within the realm of dwarven foot traffic at this point, both in the natural cave opening. There's hardly any tracks in there. It's obvious that maybe a couple people have went in and looked. You might have even found like a wrapper of a lunch or something sitting there. So like maybe somebody had walked in there and had a lunch. But other than that, not well traveled. It's obvious they just saw it. Somebody looked at it and then they bypassed it. A lot more foot traffic in the main tunnel, but everything seems to be consistent with dwarven boots.
And I'll relay the information back.
In the future, given we're looking for people that went missing, we should definitely keep an eye out specifically for indications of people being dragged rather than just specifically footsteps.
Yeah,
yeah. Or any dwarven feet that wander off where no others have traveled.
Okay. So you probably spend another 20 or 30 minutes going slowly through here. You're looking at tracks. You're having to bring light up to do the track checking because you can't do it with the dark vision at all. There's not enough light to be able to see that. But using the lanterns, using the torches that you have, moving slowly, moving cautiously, keeping alert. You find a few more of these natural cave openings that seem to intersect with this. You check them out. They seem to be small. Every now and then, like one of them might go a little bit deeper, and it might be like a 10-minute route where you kind of go down it, and you can see that the tracks maybe go down like one set of tracks might go all the way to the end. Obviously, somebody looked around and you can see the tracks that go all the way back. Like you can see a clear set of they went down, they looked, they turned around, they came back, and there wasn't much activity there else. And it's probably another good 30 or 40 minutes as you're going pretty methodically through the lower. And you're looking at the map that you have, and it seems to be accurate. It seems to show all of the natural cave openings that are there. It shows all of the tunnels that were being dug and started. You've even seen some side shafts that they're basically indents in the wall. So they would put the indent of where they're going to put a shaft, even though it's maybe only like 5 feet, and then it just stops. And so you can tell there was going to be a branch there, but they hadn't got to it. It's almost like they were laying out what they were going to do. And then towards the end of it, it's after trudging along, you finally get to a cave opening that seems to be a natural cave opening. It's towards the end, and there are no tracks anywhere near it, and it's not marked on the map.
So if there aren't tracks, is there evidence where tracks might have been taken away?
You try to find that out?
With my really, really great
You can do an
perception
investigation
skills.
check. Yeah,
There you go.
can
We'll
do
try it. Sure.
investigation. Sure. Let's see what happens. Nailed it.
Nice.
No, it does not look like the ground shows anything like tracks were removed or somebody used, wiped them away or dragged something over it to get rid of it. You don't see anything that looks artificial on the ground. But as you're looking at this cave opening that doesn't appear on the map, the one thing you pick up while you're investigating, because you get a natural 20, you got to get something. You think you hear a noise, like maybe a click, that comes from further in that natural cave. And it was faint and none of the other people heard it. That would have been more like the people just breathing was loud enough that they couldn't hear it. But right. you were so focused, you heard that click and you knew it wasn't from your group. You heard something in that natural cave.
So I'll look back at the rest of the group and kind of point to my ear and point back down the corridor to try to get their attention to look down that way too. And then get them to come a little bit closer and whisper to them that there's something down there. I was going to whisper in my mic, but that would really be great for the viewers, would it? So.
Well, they can see you. Go ahead. Whisper right in.
Should we dim our torches?
Well, we can, but I won't be able to see.
I forget you all can't see well.
No, but you two can go in ahead, scout out, fan out if you need to, while we come in blazing with our lantern.
About how far away did the click sound?
It was super
down
faint.
the tunnel. I just can't tell how far. But there's definitely something moving down there.
Now, looking at
Something
the mouth of
making
this
noise.
tunnel, it is clear that it goes further than a little ways. It's definitely maybe just 5 feet-ish wide, and it's probably only about 5.5 feet tall. It is clearly a natural made style cave. It is not something, you don't see any dwarven tool marks on it. It's not something they created. And again, you saw no markings on the floor of this area, and it's not marked on the map. You have to go through this single file. It looks like it's narrow and it's jagged. And in fact, let me help you visually. Let me move you over to a map. Players. It's going to be dark for you in a moment because I have not turned on the natural lighting yet. So give me a second. Let me get our audience over to the same map so they can see it too. You're down in the bottom right corner of this map. Who's the first person going through?
I could go first. I can see in the dark, and I'm rather stealthy.
Okay. So I'm going to put everybody right here at the very beginning. And you have the torches are dimmed at the moment, correct? So they are not, you're trying to allow Till to be able to use his dark vision and not be blinded by your light. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to change Till's to dark vision here. So let me set that up because I didn't have that one piece set. Here's the fun, cool thing about Roll20 is dynamic lighting. So you have sight and you have 60 feet of dark vision, I believe.
Yep. Dim light within 60 feet, and if it were bright light, and in darkness, I can see within dim light.
Yeah. So basically, they're covering the light. So all of this is going to be about dim light for you. So I'm going to start it out at about 10 feet out. From that point on is dim light. So it's going to be hard to see, but you will see some stuff. So let me change. Let me see there. So now, Till, can you see some stuff?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Who's second?
I'll be sticking close with Till. I have dark vision as well.
All right, and that is Aravel, right? Aravel?
Iravel, yes.
Iravel. I'll butcher it, I'm sure, for the first couple sessions. Iravel.
Right.
Okay, so, and you're using your dark vision too, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let me set yours. So we go there. You have sight. You have also 60.
Yes.
And I'll do 10. You should be able to see some stuff now.
I do.
Perfect. Now, the group behind, do you have it lit enough that you can see your feet, or do you have it really just covered so they can do their work?
So the hooded lantern, when the hood's down, it's a 5-foot radius dim light.
Okay, are you third into the tunnel?
Or
Or are you last?
I will take last.
Okay.
The catch is then I got to stay like 5 feet away from you, so I can actually see still, as well.
Yeah, I actually, because I'm the one holding the lantern, it makes more sense for me to be third.
I'll stay about 5 feet behind you, so I'm still able to see the light that you're in, but I'm not going to take a secondary light source for now.
That sounds good.
Okay.
If I can actually give you a bullseye lantern that you can just keep closed and open it when
perfect.
you need to.
I will do that then.
Okay, so, but who's third, who's fourth then?
I'm fourth.
Fourth. Okay, so let me set up for now, and I can change it when you decide to open it up if you do. So while it's hooded, remind me again, what's the light radius?
5-foot radius. Dim.
Do you see something now?
Not yet.
No. Let me take that off. Maybe that'll help. Has sight. Players can see it. How about now?
Is it? Is the token linked to my character sheet?
Good question. Yeah, it says Sir Klaus.
I saw the change in his token.
Let me just reset it. Yep, that's there.
Maybe I'm just not looking in the right spot.
Are you down in the right bottom right corner?
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool. And
Yep,
then let's get Brian's here. So you're leaving yours hooded too, so you'll get 5. All players can see that and has sight. Save the change. All right, everybody should be able to see themselves down in the bottom right-hand corner, hopefully.
Yep.
All righty. All right, it's up to you guys at this point. Now, probably move, if you're moving cautiously, move your normal movement speed, which is about 30-ish feet. If you want to run ahead and charge, tell me you're doing that. Tell me what this looks like and tell me what you're doing.
Well, I'm going to move stealthily, so 15 feet at a time, I guess.
Yeah.
So you can move your token, that, and then give me a stealth roll. Only one for the sneaking about, but go ahead. Each of you that are sneaking can roll stealth. Remember, if you have chain, it's at disadvantage.
Oh, poop.
Till is born of the night, so whisper quiet, which is really good.
My favorite prank in my tribe was sneaking up in the younglings and scaring them.
Okay. Everybody rolled their sneaky. So I see a 21. Okay, yeah. 21, a 16, 25, a 14. All pretty good, actually.
That's actually an 8 because I have the chainmail, remember?
Oh, the 8. Okay. All right. Not bad, though. Still. Okay. So, yeah. So this natural cave, you can tell that it's the stone that you've recognized throughout the rest of the mine. You don't see any... throughout the mine, you've seen parts of the veins of the silver. And actually going through it, one of the impressive things about this mine is that it's a pretty brand new virgin mine, as far as you can still see where they're going to be pulling the silver right out of the wall. I mean, you can just see it in there. It's going to be a very profitable mine for these brothers. But in here, you're not really seeing too much of that. It does seem like it's a natural cave. You don't hear anything except for the clinking of some chain behind you as you move forward. You can continue if you wish.
Ahead of us, I kind of speak back in a low voice. It seems to be a branching path. I'm not entirely sure, but that may be ahead of us.
Does one way look wider than the other, or are they about the same?
To the right looks slightly wider, but I can't exactly get a glimpse. But it does seem so.
Well, I guess we'll cautiously move forward and scout it out.
I'm just showing chat. There's a cool button for me to push to show them what Sir Klaus can see, so we can see how narrowed down their vision is for some of them.
Should we stealth forward another 15 feet?
I think so, yeah.
Do we need to make any additional stealth rolls for this, or?
Nope, not yet. Not unless you change what you're doing at this point. Not unless there's some change.
The path to the right is rather expansive, it seems. And I peer around the corner. I don't see anything down there yet, but I'm not sure. I'll take another 5 feet forward and peer around the left corner. So yeah, after peering around both corners, I still see no signs of activity. But we do have a choice to make now.
No signs on the ground of any movement through here?
Do I notice any footprints on the ground? Or...
Not with dim light. You would have to have some light to look for tracks.
I guess I can, if I'm able to, I will try to move closer to where he is so that he has light to investigate.
Okay. Yep, you can go ahead and move up.
Cool. So yeah, as he moves up, I'll kind of look down at my feet to see if I see any tracks that don't look like ours.
All right, so everybody at that spot, probably now that you're kind of looking at the ground, looking for tracks, go ahead and give me a perception check. Everybody can roll a perception check. All right. Sir Klaus. Let me see here. Oh. Okay, and now give me the investigation roll. You're looking for tracks in that spot that you have some light.
Nice.
No tracks on the floor.
Cool.
And as
On the
you're
floor?
all staring
Are they on the wall or
at
ceiling?
the floor,
Yes, we all caught that.
Brian knows me way too well. He knows what's about to happen.
Everybody does.
Yeah, you needed a little bit higher roll, and then I aced their stealth roll, so that's a shame. But something skitters across the ceiling silently and then drops upon your group as you're staring and looking for tracks. So let's bring them to the layer here. So they are going to surprise you. Ooh, this always goes terrible. So across the ceiling. Actually, let's do this. So everybody go ahead and select your token. And then from your character sheet, roll initiative. We are going to battle.
Those are some nice initiatives.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
The token's so small, I can't tell what it is.
Got to zoom in.
Oh, I know what that is.
All right. So normally what would happen is they have gotten surprised. So they are going to act. All those who can act on a surprise round get to act in this first round. Eventually you guys might gain abilities that allow you to react, like a barbarian, I think eventually can move during the surprise round. But at first level, I don't think that happens. So
Does not.
we get 5, 10, 15. This is on the ceiling, too. They are scrabbling along the ceiling silently. 5, 10, 15. And then they drop down next to you within 5 feet, and they try to lunge out at those that are looking at. So you basically hear this thump as they drop on the ground. You're startled. You look. There's these things with 4 arms, daggers in each of the hands of the 4 hands, and they are lunging towards 2 of our characters at this point. So, this is going to be something. A surprise round is tough. Sorry, guys. Here we go. So
I can't see anything.
Yeah.
And everyone's dead.
Okay, so against Till, we'll start there. A dagger sweeps out at you. Will a 15 strike?
15 does not hit.
Okay, so it scrapes off of your armor. Then a second one, it tries to hit you. It's got 4 arms. Another one tries to hit. The 12 can't get through your armor. One last dagger strike. An 8, it is not able to get through any of your armor. But we can hear the clashing of the noise, and we can hear the scrape of it, and it has like this chittering language or sound that it's making, almost like a clicking. And Ardrith, that your character, I'm forgetting your hero's name already.
Fake.
Faik, that's that chitter sound you heard, that clicking sound. Now you were like, that's what it was. And you hear this. So that was super good. Now let's go over to Iravel. So Iravel, daggers start to flash at you from the darkness. Here goes the first one. Oh, a 21.
Yeah, it's
Thinking that
definitely
hits. So 4 piercing damage as you see this dagger reach out and slice. An 8, I'm hoping misses.
definitely misses.
And then the last one, a 12.
Also misses.
Nice. Okay, good. Whew, I was really worried here. All right, so they have dropped down. They have engaged you. They got a free round. Now we're at the top of the second round. We're going by initiative order, and luckily you guys have all got good initiatives. So we start out with Sir Klaus. What would you like to do?
I'm not the highest. You didn't reset that yet.
Oh, you're right. I thought I hit it. There we go. Iravel, you were up.
Okay.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to set up your token so you guys can see your health bars for each other.
All right, I am going to go ahead and yeah, I'll go ahead and cast magic missile at the one that just attacked me.
Okay. So you should be able to click on it from your character sheet. If it's an attack, it should do the thing, and it's an automatic with magic missiles, right?
Yes, but it looks like it's only doing one missile at a time. So.
Yeah, so at first level you get 3?
Yes.
All right. So what were your targets for that?
All 3 were at the one that had attacked me.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So okay, so describe, because this is the first time we get to see this, what's this magic look like? How did you conjure it? What do your friends see as the cave begins to light up from this powerful spell?
All right, you see a lot of quick hand movements. I have my dagger in one hand, and I'm very quickly pulling spell components out of my pouch at my hip and waving them about. And eventually you see from the tip of the dagger blast forth 3 beams that fire at the enemy ahead of me.
Awesome. Yeah, so the beam, just shoulder, center chest mass, and one in the hip as each one just lands and strikes. And then you see like an afterglow of the magic that just eats into the wound of this thing, and you can see it's wounded. You can see it's cauterized the wound, but it's taken huge chunks out of it. It looks quite wounded at this point. You feel like if another attack like that would really end this thing's day, if that were possible. Very well done. All right. Anything else? That is your action. And I usually overdo this in the beginning just so everybody gets used to it, and then I'll let you guys do your own thing, but I'll try to remind you of stuff. So at this point, you either have movement or bonus action if you wish to use it, or if you have it.
All right, and would I be able to move to this position without triggering attacks of opportunity?
That is correct. Yep.
Okay, I will do so then so others can move forward.
All right, awesome. That brings us to Till, the other person who was attacked immediately. What would you like to do?
So I will step into this square here, and I will cast Frostbite on... Is it right? I can click so you can see?
Yeah, if you just hold your left mouse button down, it'll ping.
Oh, cool. On that creature.
Yeah, that's the wounded one then, yeah. All right, so click it off of your character sheet. Cool. So this is a attack that gets to make a DC saving throw, and we'll see what happens. So describe, because it's the first time you're using it, what does this look like? What are the things you do to conjure this? What does the after effect look like when this happens?
So you guys see as I as I step forward, I reach out my staff, and I say a few quiet words, and a blue mist kind of appears in the mouth of the staff, and you see the mist surround the creature as well.
All right, so 17. So the mist surrounds it. You can see it gets cold. You can see its breath puff out. I think if it makes it, it's no damage?
No damage, correct.
Okay. 1d6, and it has disadvantage on its next weapon attack roll if it makes before the end. So it shakes off your magic, and what you think happened is just its natural immunity to magical effects your spell just didn't quite have enough power into it, and it was able to shake it off. But you can see like little icicles and stuff kind of like break off from some of the hair of it, and it's got like a sheen of sweat now on it from the condensation, and it has some fear in its eyes though. When you did that, it was like it just got hammered by some arcane magic and then just nearly frozen to death. It definitely looks afraid of you. The other one looks very angry and very mad. Anything else? You have either bonus action or movement if you wish, or if you have it.
Nope, I'm all set.
All right, that brings us to our knight in shining armor, Sir Klaus. You are up.
All right, well, I will be unhooding, using an action to lift the hood on my lantern so I can actually see.
All right. So when it's unhooded,
It's 30 feet light, 30 feet dim.
so 60 and 30, which I believe it would be like this then. All right. And at unhooding, I think that would be an interaction. So that would be your one interaction. You already had your sword out and you had a lantern in your other hand.
Yeah, I had my hand axe out,
Yeah.
and then the lantern in the other hand.
Yeah, so I would say every round you get a free interaction. Usually you can use it to draw a weapon or change weapons or draw a shield, drop a shield, those kinds of things. I would think opening the hood would be your free action at that point. So you've opened your hood.
Okay.
Are you keeping it in your hand or did you set it down in that action?
I set it down.
Okay, so now you have your normal action, your bonus action, and your movement if you wish. Okay.
Move here if I can.
Yeah, you can squeeze in there.
Okay. And then I will just attack.
All right. With your hand axe, correct?
Correct.
All right, swing away. All right, so when your axe strikes out, it crashes into what looks to be like some crude made hide armor that of some sort. You're not sure what the hide came from, and it just resembles like a hide in construction, but you're not sure what creature it came from. But it definitely wears some type of self-made hide armor, and your axe was not able to dig through it. But you can see there's gaps, and you can see places where you could hit it. You just didn't quite get it on this shot. Bonus action or any other movement you want.
Yeah, unfortunately, no bonus action at this time.
Okay. Brings us to Fahik. You were up.
All right, I'm going to. So, question: as this is the first time I've tried to do it, what happens if I try to go from scimitar to javelin here?
That would require you get a free interaction, so you could just drop your scimitar and you could draw out your javelin. And then it's ready to be thrown. Yeah.
Okay. I am going to do that, and we're going to javelin the one that I can see.
All right. Throw away. Okay. So this one, as he's dodging, which one were you throwing it at? The only one you can see. Probably,
the only one I can see.
Yeah. Okay. So what ends up happening is you line it up. It's in the air, and you see it duck out of the way or try to move with the hit of the axe, and it kind of moves with it, and then the javelin flies right past and hits the opposite wall and misses him.
It didn't hit Klaus, so that's a win.
No, yeah, it didn't hit anybody else.
And I'm like, Klaus, you have a tail coming out of your shoulder all of a sudden, so.
It happens.
All right, so you still have bonus action or movement if you wish, or if you have it.
I am going to step forward to here.
Okay. All right. So let's start with the one that attacked Twill is now surrounded on two sides. Twill, let's see, Till, right?
Although
Till.
before I do it, can I pick up my scimitar as I go forward?
That would be that'd be your interaction.
I'll just stay where I'm at
turn.
then.
Yeah.
All right, I'll stay where I'm at then.
Okay.
Okay, I'll stay where I'm at.
I think it's going to You've got chainmail on, right, Sir Klaus?
Yes, sir.
You look very dangerous to this thing. It's going to try to stab its daggers into your chain before you have a chance to do more damage to it. So 3 of the arms, 3 of the 4 slash out in the dim light and flickering light of the lanterns. Here comes the first one. 11 should miss. 14 misses. And so you hear it scraping off the chainmail all 3 daggers as it's not able. And you can hear its frustration because this is the second time it was not able to draw blood. It's frustrated, it's mad, it's angry. The one that's a little bit of afraid seems hesitant, but its buddy is still going. He's going to try to hit the one that hit him. He whatever that magic was that seared into him, he's going to try to strike back at that. So he's going to send 2 of the daggers at oh my god, I have to keep switching. Iravel. There we go. Iravel. So here's the first one. Oh, sorry. 23, 6 piercing damage.
That knocks me out.
Oh, okay. So we'll put a little dude on you. So you kind of fall to the ground as a dagger slips in to your side as you're trying to keep both of them in sight, and it's too much to keep your attention, and a dagger slips in. The second one missed you as you were falling. And then the last one, he tries to dig into Till. 15.
15 does not hit.
Yeah, no, good. All right, so it scrapes off your armor. That is their turn. He seems a little happier now. One of you have gone down. Iraville is up. You've just collapsed, so here we go. Don't worry, the other group that played on Monday night, they also had to make some death saves too in the very first fight. So this is like on par. You got we need your first death save, Iraville.
All right. And it's a failure too.
Oh, okay. So mark down 1 failed. You get 2 more shots at that. All right, so that brings us to Till. You've recognized Iravel has just gone down. There's blood coming out of a wound. The creature in front of you now, you think is emboldened. He's not as afraid as he was before. The one that's kind of behind you, you're not focusing on as much because this one in front of you had just tried to stab you, but you're seeing it out of your corner of your eye as you're switching your head back and forth. What would you like to do?
I will start with my bonus action and use Healing Word.
Cool. All right. So creature of your choice within range, and are you doing it as a... oh, you can't do it as higher level yet. So 1d4 plus your spell casting ability modifier, please. 6 hit points go into, I'm assuming, Iravel?
No, one of
Yes,
the forearm
yes, I
spider
will roll.
guys.
Yeah, yeah. He's really with them. Yeah.
Switching sides.
He knows a losing battle when he sees one.
All right, so we'll put 6 points there. You are no longer unconscious. You come awake. Now, this is the first time we've seen Healing Word describe this new magic that we're seeing. What does this look like to everybody else that's around?
Okay, so as you see my mouth moving, but it's kind of strange. The words are coming from the mouth of my staff, and they silently travel through and into around around the target.
Awesome. Nicely done. So that's your bonus action. That means you still have action or movement at this point. What would you like to do?
And then for my action, I would like to again cast Frostbite on this guy here.
All right, so it should be another Constitution save, correct? Go ahead and roll it in chat for me. There it is, DC 14 Con. Okay, here we go. Oh, they're nailing these. They're throwing your magic off here.
Yep.
They're resisting you.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah, so again,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, as the cold come out again, I see it to take place, and I kind of shake the staff to look at it.
Now that we're kind of midway through this second round, each of you have had a really good look at these things. All of you can make a nature check, and if it's high enough, you will recognize what these are, or you will have faced them or heard about them in the past. Oh yeah, look at all this. All right, so Sir Klaus, Fahik, and Till, you know these are called, I might pronounce this wrong, but I believe it is called chitines or chitins. And you know the rumors you've heard, or maybe if it even happened, and maybe you guys can write up little cool stories about how you knew this, and you can put it in the Discord channel as fun. But these are creatures that were created by Lolth, very similar to like the Drow, and are very typically found in the deep Underdark and are very vicious. And they typically are almost like the Drow, think of them as like failed experiments, but the rumors is that Lolth likes to pit them against each other, the Drow and these Chitines, as a way to let them prove who's worthy of her favor. And that's always been the story, so that you've heard. You know they're dangerous. You do know that they have large broods, and that they do usually travel with several. They're not usually solitary type creatures. So those are the things that you would know. Oh, you also know that they have a sunlight sensitivity. They're very Underdark type creatures, and you've heard stories that they can walk on webs. They can climb as if like spiders, because they have been somehow altered to be very similar to a spider. All right. That brings us to Sir Klaus. You were up.
As my free action, I guide slash like a slight spin to draw my second hand axe, and then I attack it with the first hand axe going up, and then bringing down the second one in a second bonus attack.
Okay. Yep. So attack, bonus attack. So the first one gets the ability and the extra damage. The second one gets the ability plus, but not the extra damage. So just keep that in mind.
Actually, I have 2 weapon fighting, so it gets the ability modifier as well.
Okay. Yep. There you go. Both 17 and a 19 are both a hit. All right. So 10 total. You recognize right away that 2 big axe wounds chop into this thing. One of the arms kind of looks like it won't work. You get the impression that if you were to do that again, that's the end of this thing. Like that, it's hurting for sure. All right, so that was action, bonus action. The only thing you would have would be movement. Are you going to move anywhere?
No, I'll stay right here.
All right. Vahik, you are up.
All right, I will regain my scimitar
Okay, yep.
and
Free
move
action.
into contact and make an attack.
Yeah. Wail away. $15 hits.
Nice.
Oh, just click the word scimitar at the bottom, and it'll do the damage. Right in the chat area. Yeah, there you go. 8.
Got it.
Go ahead and describe it.
Oh, so Faik runs across, shield in left hand, scimitar, held not overhead in that stereotypical barbarian sort of attack, but in a defensive posture. When he gets closer, though, you could just see he winds up a little bit, strikes down, blade cuts between the neck and the upper arm right there, and manages to go a bit deep into the body. Cuts through what would have been a human heart area. Faik pulls the blade out as it falls.
Awesome. Nicely done. All right. That brings us any other actions, bonus actions for Faik?
No, I do not.
All right. Last one is going to attempt to run, but both Iravel and Till would get an opportunity attack when it tries to do that.
I don't have a weapon out.
Okay.
My staff's just my focus.
Okay.
And I will go ahead and make a thrust with my dagger then.
Okay.
Ah, there we go.
Oh, nailed it.
All right,
So hit the word dagger in chat underneath the 27 there, and it should roll the damage. 6. Oh.
yeah.
Go ahead and describe what happens to it as it falls dead to your dagger.
All right,
Nice.
as I get back to my feet after being knocked out for very briefly, I'll say, "We'll see how you like this then," and thrust it right up underneath its chin.
Awesome. All right, and then it grows quiet in the caves. Yeah.
I guess
So
I'll
yeah.
sheath my
Iravel's
one
laying
axe
down.
and pick up my lantern.
Yeah.
Is everyone all right? I look around.
Now I'll go over and recover my javelin.
I believe Iravel is the only one that's taken any wounds.
Mhm.
At least that I
I'll
can
be
see.
fine.
Did the magic work on you? Did it? It seemed to not be affecting the creatures, but did it help you out?
Definitely did. Thank you very much for that.
Good to hear.
Do these things have pouches or any sort of areas where they might have money on them?
Now it looks like they have some type of homemade hide-ish armor. The daggers they have are of a very low quality, and they do have 4 each
Okay.
that have clattered to the floor as their blackish, bloodish ichor kind of drains out.
Iravel, you're a mage of sorts. Is there anything on these things that would be worth bringing back to town?
I'm not sure. I've never encountered anything like these before, but I can give them once over, I suppose.
I know that they're made through some kind of magical experimentation due to Loth, however you say her name.
Yeah, I guess I can comb them over, see if I find any interesting magical effects.
Yeah, you could try an Arcana check to see if anything
Okay.
would pop up knowledge-wise. Yeah, nothing you remember reading. You're not recalling any stories, and when you're looking at it, you're not really sure you see anything that would even might be like a component or anything. So you don't think so.
I think they're just ordinary creatures at this point. They created magically, maybe, but nothing worth noting now.
Very well. So we have 2 choices here. We can head northern or southern on these branches.
It looks like there's
Which direction did the one start to flee in?
He was going to try to climb up the wall.
Oh, okay. I don't know if it was headed down that cave, the southern entrance or not. So
It seemed like sneaking may not be helpful much more. We could probably travel at normal speed.
Yeah, if the opponents can come upon us from the ceiling, it's probably best I leave this lantern on.
Agreed.
Unhooded. I have noticed that the northern passage seems to be wider for a bit longer than the southern one.
I'm just going to wander over this way and just hurl a pebble as far as I can down and see if I hear anything besides the pebble react to it.
Yep. No, you don't hear anything. And really what we can do too is we don't have to inch along on the map. We can head it across. So as you're cautiously looking, if you went to the south just a little bit, you realize that dead ends pretty quickly and it doesn't go any further. So you really only have kind of towards the north to go. You're moving slowly. You're moving with the lights on and your weapons out. And up to the north, when you get to the right, I'm just going to move everybody real quick to it. So the first thing you find is a body off on a little side room here. You see a dwarven body, and it looks like it has been chewed quite a bit. It's obviously been fed on. Bite marks, chew marks. Clearly not alive anymore. Clearly matches most of the description of one of the dwarves that they said had went missing. You continue cautiously to look around the different cave area, and you go further north and you come across another one. So it's another body. You're slowly going.
Before we leave that last one, I am going to drag it back towards the main corridor.
Sure.
So that when we come out, I'm going to assume they're going to want the body back. So
Yeah.
I'll at least leave it in the middle of our path as we walk back out.
Okay.
Might also look it over to see if there's anything that might be of use to us as we continue along.
Yeah, it looks like actually that it was stripped of anything that it might have had.
Based on the description, do we know which one of the three?
Yeah. I'll go back to my notes. This one was Eldeth True Anvil. So one of the description they had given you matches that one. So you have found Eldeth. You kind of move your way around the natural cave here cautiously, keeping your eyes up, keeping your eyes on the walls, looking for tracks, doing all the normal cautious stuff. And that's when you find the second body in the next room that has been dragged off. Also seems to have been chewed on at this point. This dwarf doesn't have anything on them. Seems to be Bairn, orc foe. Matches the description of Bairn. So you found Eldath and Bairn.
On both of these bodies, I'm going to say a quick enchantment and use Druidcraft, make a small flower up here on them, kind of saying a silent Wood's Prayer.
Okay. And we'll also assume that body is also moved then down with the other one so that you can extract it when you are ready.
Yes.
During this, it's been super quiet in the cave. You make your way back around, and it's when you start to get to this last area is when you hear what appears to be the clicking noise and maybe a very hushed language, but not loud enough you can make out words, but loud enough that you think somebody is speaking up ahead to the north. And then now you guys can arrange yourself how you want to go through this one-person gap, however you want, and then we'll go from there.
I will go in the lead, since I am the most armored.
And I will step back a little bit.
If we can have Iravel in the center, I think that would work best.
You want me to go second this time?
Sure.
Okay, I'll go second then. Aravel, you're third until you're in the back.
Yep, I don't need to be very close.
Would it
All
be
right.
worth it for somebody to try to sneak up and eavesdrop before we approach loudly?
You have made about 4 steps, Sir Klaus, into this area where it's only wide enough for one person to go at a time. And it's when you could hear the noise, but your chain made a noise and you heard the voices stop north of you. So you definitely have the impression that they just heard your chain, but you heard them also.
I will move into this kind of larger area right here, so that we have space to act, and that way everybody else doesn't have to be in this small passage.
Okay, yeah, you can go ahead and move.
I'll follow up in as well.
Okay, so set yourselves where you feel like you want to be, and then everybody select your tokens and roll initiative.
There we go. Nice job. Revolve.
That spread both sides of the dice.
That was a terrible initial roll.
We have a 1, we have a 20, we have a 2, we have a 16.
Iravel is able to act first as you hear what sounds like footsteps or scraping, and it sounds like something is coming.
All right. Try and move myself into a position where I can actually see what's coming. So, in over this way. No, still nothing. A little bit further. Okay, I can see one of them. I will go ahead and use my last remaining spell slot to magic missile that one.
Yeah, let's see where you're at. I think you need to go 5 more feet to get around the edge of that.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
I think I have enough movement.
Yeah, there you go. I tried to leave enough so that you guys could see where the wall was, because sometimes it's disconcerting if you can't quite see where the wall is. But that you would be able to see it, and you'd be able to arc your magic missiles into it.
Okay.
All right. So we put that on there. Nicely done. Again, when these beams of light arc out into this creature, cauterizing but digging deep chunks of flesh out of it. Again, it's hurt enough and it's staggered enough that you can tell that if you were to do that again, this thing would definitely go down. But it's not quite out yet.
Alright, and I think I have 5 remaining feet of movement, so I'll just cautiously take a step back this way.
Yeah, awesome. All right, that brings us to Till.
So I will step up to here to see what I can see. That was 10 feet. 15, 20. Is that enough line of sight for me? I can see his corner.
Not to attack. You got to get one more square up
Okay.
to make an attack, yeah.
Then I'm actually going to retreat back to here, and I will ready Frostbite for when I can have a better sight of him.
Yep, okay. So if it comes in sight, you can let off your spell that you're beginning to conjure. And you can hear it. The feet are coming like it's in a charging motion.
Yeah. So you kind of see the blue mist form in the mouth of the staff, but nothing released yet.
So it hits right there at a full sprint. You can let loose your magical energies. Okay, DC 14. I miss it, so I take it.
Awesome.
Finally.
2 cold damage and disadvantage on his next weapon attack.
Yeah, let's put something on there that makes that relevant. How about... Yeah.
Big icicle.
Yeah, I wish. Well, maybe. Let me keep looking. I'm going to do this one. That'll remind me. All right, so he finishes his movement. Looks like Klaus's is close. So daggers sweeping out at you again, Sir Klaus. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. One miss.
Wow.
One strikes
Look at that.
deep into your chest, hitting hard for 7 piercing damage. And then the other one, you feel the dagger scrape off and like the blade breaks off. So he's down to 3 daggers at this point. But you take 7 piercing damage from one that penetrates the chainmail.
Got it.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. That's about as close as I can get. He's going to try to reach out to Iravel. No, you're too far forward. Here we go. 1, 2. Oh, I probably should look, though. You have a 15.
Yes.
So 3 piercing. Second one misses. Last dagger. Oh, 19 for 4 piercing.
I'm back down again.
Back down again. It's going to be a good story to tell back at the tavern. That is their turn. That was movement and attack. It gets us to Sir Klaus. You see, you've taken a huge wound, and you immediately realize Iravel has gone down from a dagger strike. One of these creatures looks very wounded. The other one looks fresh, hale, and angry. What do you do?
Am I able to draw, put the lantern down and draw a weapon?
No, that would be 2 interactions. So
Well, then in preparations, my interactions with the lantern down, and then I move forward and attack the
one on the right's wounded. The one north of you, straight up, is not been touched yet.
Yeah, I'll hit the wounded one.
Okay. $18 strikes true, and describe it as it's enough.
So I set the lantern down, rush forward, and as I move through, I just slash down and up with the axe, so that I come facing the one that took Aravel down.
All right. Well done. Bonus action? Probably not yet.
Not yet.
Okay. Fahik, you see your comrade has gone down.
All right.
You see blood on Sir Klaus, but he's just destroyed one with his axe. You were up.
Okay. I'm going to move and attack this one with my scimitar. Do I have a sense if there's other ones around, or am I thinking these are the only foes that we have right now?
That's all you're seeing. All the noise is happening right here in this battle, so you're not really sure.
I will attack then.
10 scrapes off of the hide armor that it's made for itself. You put a big gash in it, but it does not get through. It does not bite.
Okay.
All right, so that brings us... Oh, Aravel, we need to make a death save, please.
Second one of the night already.
But it's success. He's hardier this time. He's tougher.
And there was much rejoicing. Yay.
All right, that brings us back to Till. You were up.
Yep. And feeling a little more confident about his spells now, I'll cast Healing Word again. Hearing a slight chatter come out of the staff to Irabal.
Okay. Cast away.
I'm gonna click it, which is over here.
Yep. So 1d4 plus spell casting ability modifier rolls a 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 hit points feed into Irabel, who his breath comes back to him, his eyes flutter open, and he's laying prone on the floor.
Awesome. And then I will again frostbite onto this creature here.
Okay. So we have to roll a con save against DC 14. We roll a 3, so we take the 6.
And disadvantage on next weapon attack.
Nice. And disadvantage. Sure. Just grab one quickly. Okay. And does it say, and it has disadvantage on the next weapon attack roll it makes. Okay, so one of them then at least. Perfect.
Just as a reminder, my AC is -1 now since that was a crit.
That is true. Thank you for remembering. And you'll need to have that armor repaired if you have armor. If you don't, there won't be a repair cost. All right. Mr. Chitin turn. So first one's at disadvantage as it tries to lash out at Sir Klaus. So let's mark that as a disadvantage. And dagger shot. Only rolls a 9, misses. Next ones are normal. A 9 also misses. And a 12 also misses. Not able to get through your chainmail. Sir Klaus, you were up.
My interaction, I draw my second hand axe as I attack with the first, sweeping down with my first hand axe and then sweeping up with the second one.
Awesome. Roll away. 18 and 14 is good. Both hit. Describe the death.
So the first swipe of the hand axe just slices across its chest, but it's the one that I bring down and across its face that opens it up in a huge gash that finishes the creature off.
And it grows silent once again.
I keep worrying you're going to say like it grows a second head or it.
Something bursts out.
Exactly.
Eventually, there will be a thing mission in
That
here
grows.
that somebody. Yeah.
Oh no.
It will happen at some point.
Nice.
So it grows
Bursts out
quiet.
of the chest.
You shake yourselves off. You help each other up. You bandage wounds. There's only a small portion of this cave left as you cautiously look after you gather yourselves. I'm just going to move you guys again real quick so that we don't have to spend a ton of time on the last part of this.
No, another dead
You
body.
find the remaining dwarf who is also has perished. Her
I pull out a piece of chalk and make an outline around the body on the ground.
It works.
Just so when the police show up, they know what to
Yeah,
investigate.
this one was
Crimson.
Arten Iron Fist. So you have now found Arten, Bairn, and Ulrich.
And I'm
Or no,
looking
I mean
for
Eldath.
flower
Eldath.
on the dwarf.
Okay. You find that at the back edge of this wall, though it does not show it on the map you're looking at, there is a basically like a crevice that you can look down and you shine your lantern into, and it's clear that there is a sheer drop that goes for the entire length of the light and not stop. Like it just is like some bottomless shaft that you can't see. And when you move the lantern away and you have even the dark vision people take a look, even 60 feet down, you still can't see the bottom. It's some type of shaft that goes deep into the mountain here, and you don't see anything. But it's probably clear that these creatures have the ability to climb sheer cliffs and sheer walls. And it feels pretty obvious that this is probably the entry point that they came to in this cave. You don't really have the correct equipment to even get through this. But you do search out. There's another little area towards the south. And I'll move you down to it just so you guys can look in the last portion of this cave. Let's move everybody. Like that. Oh, we missed Sir Klaus. There he is. The last little portion of this that you had not looked at, this is where you find the equipment that the miners had. So you find the pickaxes, the hammers, belts, their pouches, their clothing, any of the weapons or any of their little things that they had on them is piled here and was just haphazardly thrown on the floor here. It doesn't take you long. You go back through the cave. You make sure you didn't miss any other branches or areas, and at that point you've seen the whole thing.
I'm going to take one of the heads off these things to take back out with us to show the dwarves what's down here.
Okay.
And then
Good
grab
idea.
one of the bodies and carry it out.
Yeah, I want to investigate the hole to see if there'd be. It looks like there'd be an easy way to kind of block it off, like if they were to use some of their tools to maybe collapse it or something of the sort.
Yeah. The dwarves, you're positive once you tell the dwarves that it's here, they will be able to close it now that they know it's here.
Yeah, if they need us to stick around while they do that, we can do that as well.
Yep, agreed.
Also,
Yeah,
just
so-
out of
Oh, go
curiosity,
ahead.
could we light a torch and drop it down and just see if we see what happens to the torch, or if it's deep enough that it
disappears.
just vanishes? Wow.
Yeah, loses your sight. It's that deep.
I keep having that vision from Lord of the Rings of like hundreds of these things coming up out at us as you drop that torch.
You know I want to do that.
I do.
In fact, the image I want you to have is more Starship Troopers standing on top of the wall. That's the image
There
I
you
want
go.
you to have.
Yeah. And that's when I take the 5 flasks of oil I have and start pouring them.
Lighting them up.
Yeah. You want the nuke because that's the only thing that's going to take care of it. No. Okay, so yeah, so you guys wind your way back up. You have you reverently bring back the bodies of the 3 missing dwarves. You have evidence of the creature, and when the dwarves see what you've brought them, you can see the hatred in their eyes and the realization that they spooked themselves, and had they not gotten spooked, this is something they can take care of. This is not the type of thing they're afraid of. They were thinking supernatural. They were thinking bad luck. They were thinking superstition. They weren't thinking something from the deep like they should have been. And they kind of are a little hard on themselves about not doing that. And when you describe where this is in the second level, they are already drawing plans out on how they're going to seal it, how they're going to guard their cave tunnel, and they're gonna start collapsing all of that inner cave, and they're gonna collapse it. They're just gonna bring the ceiling down in all of that natural cave, and they're gonna be more prepared. They're going to start actually bringing in guards and being more prepared as they continue this mine. But you can tell they're definitely going to keep mining the silver. This has not scared them out now that you've cleared this out for them. You talk to both. Trying to remember all these names is going to kill me. You talk to both Fargrim and Tordek, and Fargrim accompanies you back to town. Remember, we've already made the rolls for that, so all that stuff has already happened. And it's on your way down is when you see this, where you think you see another. There must be a building out to the north, the way the trees are set, and you mark it down mentally, or even if you're drawing a map at that point, so that you'd be able to find it again. This is the rumor that you picked up. Tordek Denkel. He gave you, he asked you, did you want the 2 gold trade bars, or did you want the equivalent, the same cost in silver bars? It's up to you if you want the gold bars or the silver bars. It's 2 if you want gold bars, or it's 20 if you want the silver bars.
I believe the silver bars will be easier for us to split amongst us.
Okay, so he gives you 20 silver trade bars, which means each trade bar is 100 silver. All right, so you have those.
Each of us gets 5 then.
Okay. And you make your way back to town. And this whole trip probably took somewhere around 3-ish days, maybe 4-ish total. So we're back at town now. Let's move you guys back to here. And that's where we'll complete our adventure. So let's go ahead and hand out some of the XP here. So first things first, each of you gained 100 XP from the creatures that you fought. So there's 100 for that. You also gained 50 XP per body you recovered, so there's another 100. Each of you get this, so right now you each have 150. And then here's where it'll be different. So we failed the navigation, so we don't get anything there. Our Forager, you successfully foraged. Remember that you sell that back in town, so you have that also. And the person that did the foraging roll, you get an extra 25 XP for you for making that success for your party. So you get an extra 25. The person that did the encounter roll, and you met the ally, you made the new friend of the guard. I told you the name, right? Where'd it go?
Tandy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let me write that down so I don't forget it.
So are we at 150 plus whatever we got, right? 150 across the board is what we were at?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then now this other...
Got it.
So for creating a new ally that's going to be usable from here on out, you get 25 XP for that success. And for the new rumor, you get to make a choice for the person that found this. Do you brag about it back at the end and tell Rula, or do you keep it to yourself?
I'll leave that to a group vote.
The player in me wants to keep it to myself, but Sir Klaus would not be that interested in keeping that a secret.
Agreed. Till thinks we should share your information.
That's 2 votes so far. Any others?
I'm selfish.
Of course.
Faik is like, this sounds like a great quest and a great adventure. So
Okay,
I
it's
say we
2 to 1.
set forth.
I think I'll share it then.
Okay. So for sharing it, you also you can mark down 25 extra gold that you get from Rula, because she always wants to know more information. And for rolling such a good success on that, you get 50 XP extra.
Oh, wow.
For the person that made that successful roll. This is a good thing where the other group kind of figured this out too, that it's a good thing to rotate the rolls around, and it's chances for people to get extra XP doing different things and accomplishing different things. So, all right. So for a 4-day-ish trip, you need to spend, let me get to the right spot, world info overview. Where did I write that? I want to say it's 2 silver per day to replace the rations. So that's 8 silver.
Could that cost be mitigated at all with the use of good berries for part of the trip?
I think I'm not doing that.
Worries.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not doing that. And the only reason I say it too is you're in a new land and you've not found the type of ingredients and things that you need. I think eventually
Sounds good.
I'll let that happen. So 8 silver to replenish your rations, and you're ready to go on your next expedition whenever you need to. And then you'll pay your room and board whenever you decide to go on your next expedition. So like if you wait a week or 2 for your next expedition, you might have another cost to spend for your staying at the end until you go. So keep that in mind. Other than that, you split your spoils up however you wish. And that is the end of our adventure. So
awesome. Thank you.
Nice. That was good.
Yeah, let me get out the Twitch part of it. You guys hang on just for a moment. So thanks everybody for joining, all the viewers that stopped in. I know it's late. It's on a Thursday night. We went till about 11:30, which is when I want to go. It's about a 3-hour game when I can. Our crew is here. Hopefully they decide if they're going to go again at some other point, or they can join some of the other groups and they can go out on those. So if you're interested in playing this game, all you need to do is send me an email to start this whole process. You can send an email to me at seekingrevonar@gmail.com. And that's Revonar is spelled Revonar. And I'll have it posted in the link of the YouTube video and in the VODs if you want to find it. When you send me an email that says you're interested, I'll start to send you the other stuff that will allow you to do this. Tell your friends, tell your buddies. You can come in and play a game here with SirLucien, and we'll get some of these off. I had a fantastic time. I want to say thanks to all my players. I hope we see them on the show again. I hope they keep continuing to adventure either together or with others. And right now, we'll go ahead and kick off our Twitch. So thanks for joining, and we will see you in the next show. So thank you. Bye-bye. When I transition the right way, which is always the hard part, and mute.